skiing down there.
The biggest problem here is that at some point in the past, a lake wall was put in, more land was created. Okay? So now everyone's needs that go back, say they have,
Yeah.
I'm just picking numbers now, 30 feet of shorefront, right? But that's the old shorefront. Now the new shorefront has this land like this, right? So it was never codified who owned what. Right? So there might be adverse possession claim, like all sorts of craziness. But if you look, and I didn't do all the research.
We sort of intimated that it could be.
Yeah.
I don't know, the guy
What
got
she did was,
What
her
does he got,
surveyor did
200 feet of
was
block
because
wood
of all
right
the
there?
questions.
350, I think.
You know, I mean,
For the 30 feet.
or he's gonna put a hole in the hole, a hole in the wood.
The pump's gonna be in the
More land than what
existing
their
boathouse.
deeds
Yeah,
said,
so that's what I'm
but
saying.
perhaps less than what they
Yeah.
enjoyed.
And
for
they,
20-something
and they,
years. So
and
we're
they
all talking
trench
about that.
that system in where they don't even dig by hand, they just trench the pipe
But
right
it
in.
lays the pipe in,
Yeah.
it's such a,
Yeah.
it's minimal, there's,
Oh, no.
it's a trench that's 3 inches wide.
And they weren't hearing it.
Yeah.
So basically, they all know.
It's very minimal.
So, who knows?
You know, somebody can come in if they have the right to that, and apply for it.
That's, I'll tell you that.
Come to the coast to enforce everything, including your death. I hate these. Not all crazy about them. Yeah.
Right, that's a good idea. He has to be notified. Maybe he doesn't even know it's happening. Don't put that for sure. He's right away, he said have, you know, access to,
He says from Dayton, from one of the bouncy ones or something.
they got 190 lots in the parcels. You know, so it's,
And they're the first ones that come down. So now they're the only ones that can use the dock, or?
I don't think these.
You know, what I mean, it just, I don't know if it goes into, if it's going into the record.
There's 190
Yeah, you
other
could
people
point
that
it
have
out.
rights to that. So why do you get to put more in these meters?
We know.
I know what you're saying, yeah. You know what, I mean, sometimes it's hard to, I mean, that's just, yeah, yeah.
I don't know how deep you get.
Well, you know why, the computer's gonna spit it out, because it's a word. Yeah, so it doesn't know. You guys ready? All right, it's 7 PM on August 21st, 2024. I'd like to call the Inland Wetlands Watercourse Commission meeting to order. First order of business is the roll call. Stephen Molinelli, Chair, present. Russell Davenport, absent. We have a vacancy for secretary. Jeff Lippincott.
Present.
Frank Oliveri.
Present.
Gary Paganelli.
Present.
We have a vacancy again, Jamie Giantano.
Present.
And Matt Clausen.
Present.
Do you want to be Italian tonight, and we have it unanimous?
We're fair. You've been around long enough.
Grandfather, my wife calls me a wannabe.
Under agenda review, is there anything?
I got a voicemail from Mr. Daddio of 240 Kingsbury Ave application a short while ago. He's picking up new prints and on his way. He asked to be seen when he gets here. If it's, well, he's first on the agenda, so we'll
Okay.
have to adjust the agenda.
That would be part of the public hearing, so we'll move that back.
Yeah.
Okay, you gave us another agenda on the desk. Is it different than?
Nope, that's the same. It had not been amended.
Okay. Solves that problem. I came across 147 West Wakefield Boulevard. They need a permit?
Yeah, it's going to simply be a zoning permit at this point. I put it on our application last month out of
I know.
abundance of caution, but after further review, it's outside the area and
So
everything else.
I can cross that out.
You can cross that out.
Very good.
147 West
147?
Wakefield from last
It
month.
would be in violations or something in the back. Next order of business is the approval of minutes. To my knowledge, I think most of us received the minutes on our desk this evening. So I don't think in fairness to the minutes that we have any opportunity to read through them. I did because I picked up a copy when I knew they were gonna be on my desk. But I'd like to table the vote on the minutes so that you have an opportunity to review them. And,
I don't think you even need to table. I did not list them under,
Okay.
on the agenda, because I knew you were getting them late, and I figured we would handle it next month.
okay, so that I don't have to table it. Okay, first order of business would be the public hearing 24-10, John Mills on behalf of Sandy Drive 3. And Jeff indicated that the applicant is on his way, and we'll just push that public hearing back. Under old business, 24-6, Michelle Babbage at 139 West Wakefield Boulevard. Last month, she asked for an extension, and I know there's been correspondence back and forth between lawyers. Ms. Babbage is here now, so when you sit down, just introduce yourself, please.
Good evening. Michelle Babbage, 139 West Whitefield Boulevard.
Move the microphone towards you so that the tape picks it up. Okay, thank you very much.
My attorney couldn't make it this evening, so,
Go ahead.
all right, well, anyways, you asked me for more information, so I gave you a notarized affidavit of when the dock was built. It was built in 1982, and I'm going with, it's grandfathered in, according to your own town ordinance. Chapter 380 of the town ordinance, section 380-8 says, a structure, object currently existing in or over the watercourse that was located on Highland Lake on May 11th, 1993, the original date of this chapter, or the date of the adoption of this chapter for all other bodies of water, shall be deemed authorized without regard to provisions of this chapter. That ordinance is primarily my focus. This property is grandfathered in, the dock is grandfathered in.
You made an application for the same dock that was already grandfathered in, is what you're saying?
I'm guessing so. You told me I had to make an application.
I didn't tell you anything. I wasn't around in 1992, nor anybody else here.
No, in 1992, I didn't make, 1982. The person that owned the property before me built it.
Jeff, did you see this?
Yes, Jeff has had that the affidavit. Actually, I sent Jeff that application 6.5 weeks before he decided to put it in.
Well, that may have some relevance on some of what exists out there, but the issue that's before us,
Any other issues you have, you can address with Attorney Sika.
with what?
Attorney Sika.
Okay, so do you have anything else to say?
I'm just telling you that the property is grandfathered in.
Not the
whole deck.
property.
The
What-
deck.
the-
The
what you-
dock,
What you made reference to.
yes, the
Okay.
dock, the deck, and the slips
No,
are
no.
all grandfathered in. No, that's what I'm making reference to. Don't
Okay.
tell me what I'm making reference to, I'm telling you. The dock, the upper deck, and the two slips. They're right here on the affidavit from the previous owner that he built them.
Then I only have one question of you. Why did you make application for the same thing that you already have?
Because he told me I had to. and
No,
I'm
no,
not really-
he wasn't around in
I
1992.
didn't do anything in 19.
Your husband did.
99,
excuse me,
No,
1999.
I'll tell you what my ex-husband did.
Your
He
husband
not-
did.
He's dead, so you
Well,
know. I'm not
again,
just- I
we're
don't-
dealing with an application that's different than what exists today.
I understand that, but you
So-
know what? The first time I saw that application was when I came here and you showed it to me. The only thing he did was he did something underneath the structure to lift it up. That was it. He didn't change anything. Nothing.
It doesn't conform to what he applied for.
Well, I don't know what he applied for, and I'm not gonna go by what he
Go
was
the way
saying.
you research the records, sit down with Jeff and research the records again, and we're dealing what's been researched for
I'm
us.
telling you, that doesn't exist because I don't care who wrote it. I would have known. I own the property. And the first time I saw it was here. So nothing's changed, and that's how it is.
That's your opinion. In
No,
our
that isn't my
opinion,
That's, I'm stating a fact.
in our opinion, things have changed because your dock that exists in the water today does not conform to what you applied for.
I didn't apply for anything, and neither did he. He only came in to jack up the back, underneath the deck, to the structure. That was the only thing.
Okay, you have
And-
anything else to add?
No, that's it. You keep bringing on all these other things.
Well, we'll wait to
But you know
hear-
what? I can't ask a dead person for starters, and I think I would have known since I own the property if that was gonna happen. So I don't agree with that.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't.
Okay, so then, Jeff, anything?
No?
Oh, I have one other thing to add.
Go ahead.
I want you to clarify the minutes, because I've asked you before, your erroneous allegations that my husband built the dock. I told you he did not build the dock. It was there when we bought the property. And the affidavit says it also, from the previous owner. So I want that clarified. I want the minutes fixed.
It's now on the record.
Yeah, I get it was on the record, that's where I saw it. But I want you to change the record, because what you wrote was erroneous. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Okay, would you like to continue this till next month?
Sure.
Okay, do we have time? Is she allowed?
An extension has already been requested and granted. That extension runs out 8/25/24, which is a few days from now.
Okay, so then what's our recourse?
I think you need to act on the application tonight.
What you're saying, my understanding of what you're saying is we have to make a motion to approve the application, depending upon the vote, and then let wherever the vote ends is where we are.
Correct.
You asked me to get you proof, and I got you proof.
In 1999, your husband was an owner of the property, correct?
Correct, he was. But that
Okay.
is not what he came down here for. And you know what, if there was a problem when I sat in front of this board in 2012, when you said I was running a marina, which I'm not, it should have been addressed then. Because he was still alive, I could ask him.
Well-
He's never changed anything. There's no way was anybody gonna make it any smaller. It has stayed the same size. I don't know how many ways to tell you that. Nothing has changed, period.
Well, we have to go by what the survey.
Go by whatever.
The survey indicates it was smaller in 1999, so that's what we have to go by. Anybody can say whatever they want.
I didn't have a survey done in 1999.
What year was the survey?
Well, you have the permit on file from 1999, which calls out the dimensions of
And
the
her
structure.
husband signed that.
Correct.
He
You
was a
taking me to
property.
dead man? I'm not. He's dead, and I never saw it before.
He
so
did it in
whatever.
99.
You beat this horse.
He did it in 99, end of story. You agreed to it as
No, I didn't.
you were his spouse.
No, I didn't.
He
I
was-
signed nothing. Don't tell me what I agreed to.
Well-
I know how, if I agreed to it, I know if I signed it. You didn't get that, did you?
All right,
Deal with my attorney.
okay, well, we're gonna have to deal with your attorney after the vote takes place.
Okay, because you know what? I don't know how many ways to tell you this. Nothing has changed there. The only-
Well, before you step away from the table and we take a vote later on in the meeting, what has changed is from 1999, when your husband made an application for a permit, the permit that exists today is different in the water, what was put in the water, let me finish. What was put in the water in 1999 or thereafter was different what was approved by a committee of Inland Wetlands.
let me
What's
finish.
different? What also changed, let me
clarify
finish.
something. No,
What
let me
also
clarify something.
changed,
That
what-
was still-
listen, you're out of order. I was polite and listened to you.
Go ahead.
What also changed is that you quick deeded your property to two individuals so that they can have access to your waterfront and put boats there. Now that's a whole nother issue. You have one of two choices. You can tell the people who were there that you're gonna have to conform to the 1999 permit and change the dock to conform to it, or you're going to have to put a new application in for a dock and boat and walkways because you have two additional owners, and that's why it's different. Their names have to be on the permit. Their names are not on your 1999 permit. The choice is yours.
I'm telling you that nothing changed since 1982, when the first person built it. That's exactly how it was. Nothing changed. Do you understand that? I don't care if he put in 1,600 applications. Nothing changed. I didn't sign it. The only thing he went down there to do was to put something underneath, to reinforce underneath the deck, the dock area. And then he took the slips that were facing into a T, and he separated them. He put one on one side and one on the other, and that is it. clear?
I heard what you said.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm clear, because I don't know if you thought I was clear last time.
had it some
That's it,
time
You did,
nothing
okay,
has
well, then I have it
changed,
here, I'll
ever.
just keep looking.
That's it,
I hear what you said.
that's it.
Okay, but the fact remains that your husband did put in a
I
permit.
don't know if my husband did that, that could be
Well,
erroneous,
then,
I don't trust Isaac.
we'll vote, and you decide what you want to do. Is there anything else to add that's different or new?
No, I just told you about the ordinance. that you
Okay,
should
thank you
know
very
about.
much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we're out of time, and we can't bring this to closure unless we vote. Okay? Just be sure of the language of what we're going to use. I'm going to make a motion to approve this application. The only way this application is approved if enough of us vote in favor of the motion. If you vote no, and the majority of our committee votes no, then the application is denied. Okay, we don't need another motion to deny. So there'll be one motion to approve. If there's enough votes, we approve it. If there's not enough votes, then it's denied automatically. Everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Frank? All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve application 24-6. The location is 139 West Wakefield Boulevard. The proposal is the dock permit to match property owners, property ownership. My understanding is that the property ownership is now divided amongst Ms. Babbage and two other individuals who have not been here. And in order for this motion to be approved, they have to be part of the new application for a permit. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes, we would be able to transfer the permit to the new ownership group.
Without them applying?
Right.
And they would be left with the dock from 1999?
Yes.
So, let me clarify.
Go ahead.
If we deny it, we are requiring her to conform to the permit that was issued in 1999.
She has that choice, or put a new permit with the new names of the applicants, of the owners.
But-
As part of, an owner can
Okay.
only apply for a permit.
Okay, that's fine, but the configuration of the docks
It doesn't conform to
doesn't
1999.
conform to that. So if we feel that she needs to comply or conform with the approved permit from 1999, we should deny, we should vote no.
You vote the way you want to vote.
Just want to
Okay.
be clear.
Yep, is there a second on my motion?
I'll second.
Jeff, all those in favoring of approving application 24-H for Michelle Babbage at 139 West Wakefield Boulevard? All those in favor, please raise your hands and say aye.
Excuse me one second,
Go ahead.
24-6, for clarifying.
24-6, thank you.
Clarify that.
All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands and say aye. Frank, the answer is no. Gary? No. Steve Molinelli, no? No.
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 All right, the application is not approved. It's denied. Next order of business is 24-10. John Mills on behalf of Sandy Drive. Are they here yet, Jeff?
No.
Okay. Next order of business is 24-22. John Carroll at 57 Main Street, Cappy's Cleaners. The project involves excavation of off-site disposal of contaminated soil in accordance with Connecticut rules. For the records?
Good evening. John Carroll, licensed environmental professional from TRC Environmental Corporation on behalf of Cappy's Cleaners, owned by Mr. June Lim. I was here last month. I provided a fairly detailed overview of our plans for excavation work on the property. I can give you a brief review of that unless you have any particular questions you'd like to run past me right away. Do you have a preference either way?
I just have one question, and I raised it the last time, and Gary picked up on it also. We're concerned, or at least I'm concerned, that the limit of the work that you're doing is within the boundaries of the property owner, Cappy's Cleaner.
Yes.
And what you're saying to this committee is that none of the contamination has drifted away from the property that behind the building and whatever toward the Dairy Queen and toward CVS, I guess?
To the best of our knowledge, that is correct. We will ensure that to be the case by conducting the excavation. At the end of the excavation, we will collect sidewall samples around the perimeter as well as bottom samples. They'll be submitted to the laboratory for rapid turnaround analysis. We'll compare the results to the Connecticut remediation standards and verify that in fact that contamination is within the property boundary.
And if it's outside the property lines?
It is not to our
If it
knowledge.
is.
If it is, we will be into a new project. We will be in contact with the adjacent property owner, and we'll need to make arrangements to address that accordingly.
So that's what would happen. If it exceeds your expectations in terms of east side, left and right contamination, then you'd be back before this committee.
That's exactly right, yes.
Okay.
Can you
Things will
refresh
become
my
more
memory?
complicated, but yes. we
What,
will.
Jeff?
Can you refresh my memory? How close are you getting to that wall? that retaining
Very
wall?
close. Our intent is to begin at the wall and work northward away from it. The excavation adjacent to the wall is relatively shallow, no greater than 4 feet is what is expected, perhaps less. I'll be guided. We have handheld instrumentation that we use for screening the soil for the chemicals that are present. And that is kind of a preliminary view on what we anticipate the analytical results will then show.
So you did test pits, test,
We've done extensive soil borings, not test pits.
okay, and then that goes right
and
up to
then,
the wall? You found
Yes,
it? Okay, so there was-
exactly.
There was
The
some contamination?
Figure 5, which we submitted previously, really provides our, what's the right term? Our anticipated boundaries of what the excavations will look like. It's extrapolated from borings that are some distance apart from each other. Again, we've got a pretty good handle on the three-dimensional dimensions of what the excavation will look like. We'll proceed, collect the samples, and verify that in fact we meet cleanup.
So you think that the ones, I'm just concerned about the wall. I mean,
Yes.
looks
Very-
like the
we are-
most
we are as well.
dangerous area of any issues.
Yes,
So you went down 4 feet, and at 4 feet you found clean soil?
yes, yes.
So that's not backfilled with stone or?
I am not aware of what the exact nature of that material is. I suspect because of the construction of the wall itself, that a portion of it is in fact fill that was brought in up to the adjacent wall.
So that would, you would think that would leach any contaminants
Um,
pretty easily into the
Leaching
water?
at this site is relatively minor. We've done a fair amount of investigation of the groundwater around the site. We've
Okay.
got monitoring wells there. Negligible impact to the groundwater. The only issue as far as exceedance of a standard that applies to the groundwater at the site is at monitoring well MW4, which is not adjacent to the retaining wall. We have an exceedance of what is referred to as surface water protection criteria at MW4. It's closer to the central portion of the site. And in fact, what we need to do to demonstrate compliance with the groundwater conditions, that's surface water protection criteria, is we look at the conditions immediately adjacent to the surface water. When the excavation is complete, we will install new monitoring wells. We will continue to monitor the groundwater to demonstrate compliance with the standards and in particular, make sure that we're in compliance with the surface water protection criteria. That is the way we button up the entire process. We will need to provide 4 quarters of clean groundwater data. That can extend over a 2-year period. It's a seasonal look at what are the conditions of the groundwater. We
My
grind it
concern
all
is
up,
not that. My concern
verify.
That's not my concern. My concern really is
Yes.
the structural, the wall.
Understood.
And
Same
if
concern
there's any
that-
chance
that
of
we
that
have.
collapsing or, so.
Again, we're gonna work away from the wall. We're going to have quick turnaround on the sample that's collected closest to that wall as the excavation begins. We'll have that result within 24 hours. And to
Backfill right
the
away.
extent we're able to backfill as we're proceeding northward towards the center of the site.
If I remember the last time you said that the digging closest to the wall would be around 2 feet, 3 feet?
That
The hole.
approximately, yes.
Yeah,
Again, we'll be
that's the
screening with
expectation.
our handheld instrumentation, grab the sample, turn it around quickly, and make it.
Just
make
go
it
back to
final.
my issue earlier. Did you make any effort to test the soil behind Dairy Queen and toward CVS to see if there was any contamination? Or you limited it just to the property lines?
It was within the property boundaries. We had good delineation on all sides of the boundaries up to the property. We had
So-
clean results, in particular more clean results as we approached the Dairy Queen property. It gets fairly close to the boundary with the CVS property. We'll pay close attention to that as we continue with the excavation, collect our results, and again, demonstrate that we meet the standards that apply to the soil.
But you never went on to the adjacent properties itself?
Correct.
Okay, but the remedy would be if there were contamination, how would you know?
If there were.
Behind
contamination-
Dairy Queen and behind the other way, towards
Again,
CVS?
you know, we're talking about a series of borings placed logistically around the site. There were several iterations of those borings. We reviewed the data. We added additional borings to get full delineation. We feel we've got a good handle on what the extent is. We'll have to conduct the excavation and then prove that we have, in fact, met all the standards. If for whatever reason, we're at the property boundary and I don't have clean results, we will need to continue that project onto the adjacent property, and we will be back before you.
Okay.
Which way does the groundwater flow there?
Groundwater flow is it's roughly southeasterly towards the river. There's a very steep drop off from behind the retaining wall to the Mad River, and the groundwater discharges in that direction from north to south.
I'm
roughly.
concerned you're gonna have to go deeper than 4 feet. That's,
I certainly hope so.
I hope not.
Let me back up and explain a little bit of the standards that apply to the soil at the site. There are two. The first is a direct exposure criteria. It's based on the model that children eat dirt at properties, okay? And it's based on the ingestion of dirt and the contamination level within that. And that really has not been an issue. We don't really have exceedances of the direct exposure criteria throughout any of the work that we've done so far.
it's all gonna
What
be
we-
paved, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
It's all gonna be paved, isn't it?
It is paved,
Okay,
and we
so
will
that
replace the
seals that.
pavement. But the standards still apply regardless of whether
They do,
the
huh?
pavement is there or not. The second standard that applies to the soil is the groundwater protection pollutant mobility criteria. Does the soil leach down and affect the groundwater so that it is unacceptable?
Right.
And we do have some exceedances of that pollutant mobility criteria. That's the main driver behind the excavation. That standard applies only to above the seasonal high water table at the site. So if we have gone down vertically to reach the water table and our bottom results don't meet the criteria, we are still in compliance with Connecticut's remediation standards because they only apply to the depth of the water table at the site.
Do you know how far that is? How deep that
It's
is?
roughly 8 feet. In some areas, it's slightly deeper, 11, 12 feet.
Close to the river, the
Yeah.
river level.
Yeah, well, it's still above river level. My estimate is from grade to the average level of the river, it's about 18 feet or so. It's quite a drop off.
Okay. Well, you don't have any options. You gotta go down and get it out. Until you meet
There
the
are other
criteria, right?
options. There's in situ treatment options, a lot more expensive, a lot more complicated. This is a relatively small parcel. We're confident that we can meet the standards. We've done a significant amount of investigation. Again, we've got our arms around the problem. We'll have to prove that we meet the standards at the end, Ultimately, I need to submit a verification report to the DEP that I stamp as a licensed environmental professional that demonstrates the site is in compliance with the remediation standards. DEP has the opportunity to accept that as written. They can ask for additional information. They can audit that report. So it needs to be airtight, basically, in my mind, as a licensed environmental professional and under the review of DEP ultimately.
From beginning to end, how much time do you need?
How much time to conduct the remediation?
Yeah.
We're estimating a week.
Okay.
We're gonna be direct loading. Again, doing the quick turnaround on the sampling. As soon as I've got everything I need to demonstrate compliance in the soil, we'll be continually backfilling and buttoning it up and refreshing the conditions at the ground surface.
Jeff, with this kind of project, do they need any remediation protection for the river, silk fences or anything like that?
Well, it's not gonna be behind the
Wall is
There's an existing catch basin, which we will provide sediment control, basically a filter fabric over the top to catch any materials that happen to migrate towards that. The other discharge of surface water, sheet flow across the back pavement, there is some which does directly discharge to the river overland. We'll have, as needed, we'll have silt fence to capture that, standard sedimentation control.
Gary, anything?
No, basically their excavation's below the water runoff.
Is what?
Their excavation's below water runoff. You know, it's a hole underneath the blacktop, so whatever water's on the blacktop going to his basin isn't compromised by what they're doing, unless it's dirt off a truck or dirt off the bucket or something to that nature.
I'll add that it's our intent to schedule the actual mobilization by the
Right.
contractor at a period where we have good weather.
It's hard to find these days.
Anybody else with anything?
Will you be inspecting this on a regular basis, daily basis?
I can, yeah.
Well, and it's only gonna take a week, right?
Right.
The TRC will be on site with the contractor from beginning to end.
Who's that?
TRC, my
Okay.
company. We have direct observation of the work throughout the process, and we direct the contractor.
All right, anybody with anything else?
Yeah, just notify me when you pick that window.
And obviously, we don't need a bond.
That's,
Well, we can ask the state to post money.
The project is funded by the state.
Yeah, that's what I'm,
I'll back up and re-explain the state dry cleaning fund was applied for and approved by Mr. Lim. It's roughly $250,000 that was approved by the state dry cleaning fund. Every time anybody takes a piece of clothing to a dry cleaner to have it cleaned, you pay a premium that is submitted to the state's trust fund for dry cleaning establishments. I hate to say it, but there are many dry cleaning facilities that have historic releases such as this. This is not a current spill. This is a historic release, and that fund becomes available for folks like Mr. Lim to take advantage of.
based on your experience, have you had to post any kind of fund to the town or to where the remediation takes place?
No.
Okay.
And this one, I'm taking it very seriously.
Yeah.
It's relatively small in scale. They're all have their challenges. They're all looked at
okay.
with a high degree of care, and this one is small by comparison, and none in my 37 years of experience has required bonding.
Okay.
I guess we would be out.
I guess we're right on that one. All right, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve IWWC 2422, excavation and removal of contaminated soil from Cappy's Cleaners, 57 Main Street, Winsted.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval, raise your hands. Unanimous? Jeff and Gary.
So Jeff.
Okay, thank you very much. You'll just let
you
Jeff
just let us
know
know.
you know, a day or two before you're ready to begin the excavation.
Because I, you know.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're welcome, have a good day.
You too.
We won't know how it went.
Right.
I'd just be curious to know how it went,
Okay.
you know, after the fact.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, for the record, Mr. Daddio has arrived. However, I would suggest that you just close out the rest of old
Yeah.
business as.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Next order of business is Mr. McGinnis the application is 24-23 at 512 West Wakefield Boulevard.
Mr. McGinnis did request an
he
extension.
did.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's to allow his surveyor to finish the work to.
Okay, so the extension will be granted, and
Yep.
when is he out of time?
Well,
nine-
this will add another 65 days on top of his deadline of 9/20.
So it's plus 65.
Yeah,
No, so he's got it.
plenty of time.
Do we need a motion, or just move along?
We did have a letter in regards to this too, right?
Yeah, that's the request for extension.
Well,
Oh,
from
and you
Nelligan-
also
from
have
Nelligan.
Nelligan's memo,
Yeah.
which I assume you've all read, but it basically says that the McGinnises are able to apply based on the easement, and the commission can take under consideration the structures that are currently on site at 504.
As well as littoral boundaries and
Yeah,
everything else.
right, and the surveyor is working on the updated survey with the littoral boundaries and everything now.
And obviously, also with this too, this easement just has one person that's able to cross this.
Yes, it's specific to the property.
Obviously, maybe not so much with this one here, but with other easements around the lake, there's a couple of them that, there's 100 people have access to them. And now by saying this, obviously somebody can come before us, not notify the homeowner, and apply for a permit, a buoy, a dock, whatever they want. And I think it'd be a good practice in the future. Basically, if 100 people come in and one guy is the first to find this out, he gets approved for a buoy and he can keep his boat there. Now there's 99 other people who don't. So I'm just thinking maybe moving forward with applications like this, a public hearing. It's a public piece of property, so to speak, so I think it would probably be important to move forward in that.
I think that would be prudent, especially if more than one property has
Yes,
easement access.
Yes,
Right.
I just wanted to go on record. Yeah, there's a bunch of them on Shore Drive, Perch Rock
There's a half a
Trail.
dozen all over the place.
Yeah, and then if you go down all down West Wakefield Boulevard, East
Right.
Wakefield.
Yeah, no, it's a point well taken.
Yeah.
Place.
What's that?
Unity Place.
Unity Beach.
Yeah, I mean, I just
190,
think,
right?
obviously,
You know, I think it's a point well taken. I think it's sort of the responsibility to, you're hopeful that the applicant would say it's on an easement, or that the research from the town would indicate that it is on an easement, and then the public hearing might trigger that kind of thing.
Right.
We have the capacity to do that?
We do.
We do?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're just gonna table this till next month? And note what Jeff said as for the part of the record?
all right, so that's it.
Okay, next order of business. We're up to new business, so before we begin new business, why don't we take
Yeah.
Mr. Daddio's issue? All right, we're going back to the public hearing, application 24-10. The applicant is John Mills on behalf of Sandy Drive 3 LLC. The location is 240 Kings. Introduce yourselves.
My name is Peter Diadio of 240 Perch Rock Trail, manager of Sandy Drive 3. You've seen me before, thank you. I have with me our soil scientist, William Jackson. I'm sorry for the late submission of this plan. I've only received the comments from the engineer that you assigned to us yesterday. So, the meeting with John Mills and Al Bongiovanni and reviewing the document that Thomas Grimaldi presented, we adopted his changes. If you don't mind, I'll pass these out. It's an updated plan. I only picked them up on my way here, so.
Just so we're on a level playing field, we haven't seen Tom Grimaldi's report,
Okay,
so anything you introduce now will be new to us.
okay,
And just keep that in mind, so that, you know, whatever you're addressing,
you haven't seen it.
we're just saying you did with due diligence, but we'll take your word for it, but we haven't seen it.
I understand.
Is that accurate, Jeff?
Yes.
I only saw it yesterday, and like I say, I had a copy marked up in my packet, but sorry to say, I can't seem to
I have two.
pick it up. So, no, there's 2 pages.
Oh, it's 2 pages?
Yeah, I have 11, so I have 1 page.
Oh, okay.
Do you have one, Matt?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
It's in,
It was just put on a table.
Because I didn't see it.
Yeah, it was.
All right, just for the record, I stand corrected. Tom Grimaldi's report was on our desk.
Okay.
I didn't see my copy.
No problem.
Okay, I'm just,
Mr.
you know.
Chairman, I received it yesterday at 5 a.m. They were sent to me, Jeff sent it to me at 2, but I didn't see it until 5. So I met with our engineers today, early on it, and they just finished the plan a few hours ago. So the changes that we made really addressed all of Mr. Grimaldi's items, except for one. And what I mean by except for one is that the rain garden that he suggested in an item, let me just see, sorry, I have this on my phone, I don't have a copy of it like you guys. I had it in my briefcase, but I seem to have, must be in my truck.
Wait a minute, hang on, here.
Do you have one?
What,
That would be great.
which one, what's your?
The Grimaldi letter? Yeah. Thank you very much.
Just give it back only
I'll give
because
it
it's for the absent person.
So he was very thorough. I have spoken to him, so, you know, he obviously knew what he was doing. And so he reviewed our wetlands letters and our plans. And I want to bring his item number 1 about his rain garden design. He wanted our rain garden design to a newer standard which would require some testing. So we couldn't test by tomorrow from today. You know, our meeting is tonight. I mean, there's just not time to do that testing. So after meeting with my engineer, we realized that we really don't need a rain garden. In other words, we conform without LID practices. We're 12% impervious, and the rain garden, those kind of designs allow us to go from 15% to 20%. Really, that's the only bonus that you get following those kinds of practices. So since it would establish months or, you know, many weeks of additional testing, and we wouldn't be able to approach this commission tonight to try to get an approval, we removed the rain garden from the plan. However, we still graded the site the same way. We still, if you notice on the plan, there's still a 6-inch depression in the yard. It's on page 2, you'll see it's planted differently, instead of planted with with wetlands planting, planted with yard, seed, but the basin of it is still partially topsoil and partially well-drained soil. So it will still infiltrate your roof water and your impervious water, even though it's putting its own thing together. In other words, there probably won't be any water from that drive going to this simply because it's really not impervious. But yet, we've calculated the size so that it's the right size. The water will still go into that area. It won't be called a rain garden, it'll be a lawn. And it'll still, infiltrate the water into the surcharge, into your water table, and avoid any contaminants going into the wetlands. So, in addition, the engineer requested some other things, which were, prudent.
You have the report there.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's better for me. As far as the size of the building, right? The suggestion was to make the size of the building smaller, so there would be 10 feet completely surrounding outside of the wetlands, so equipment or maintenance equipment could drive around the building without getting too close to the wetlands. So we redesigned the building and made it smaller, and so you got 10.7 at its tightest pinch point to get around the building, and of course it's 25 feet, in a different area. We took 5 feet off the building, which was well, it wasn't specifically suggested, but it was alluded to. So we took on that recommendation. There was also a request for a staging area to, specifically state where construction staging would be handled. And so we have a staging area, and if you recall, across we have it squared off staging area, but that entire lot where we have our trailers parked now would all act as a staging area, so that, material or wood or tractors or whatever would be safely stored across the right-of-way or in the right-of-way, both, which is all our land, as you know, so that there would be ample area for staging equipment and material, which is what was recommended, and so we adopted that. There was a reference to number 6 to a GIS NDD database for natural species or what. Yeah, it usually does, but we really don't have any. But I'll let our wetland scientist speak to that, who is qualified to speak to that, and he can talk about endangered species, which there is none on our site. There is an eagle, right? But he flies in Island Lake, and he perches up in a tree actually next to my other house, not on this property, but.
Just for your information, the eagle by your other house is carved.
Is what? No, there is one carved. You're right. but the real eagle,
okay.
Perches right on the top of that.
Don't try to trick us.
No, and he's really brilliant. The bird is. So. But he doesn't park on these trees, and really that concludes all of his recommendations except for the test pits. And so, not needing a rain garden, there's no need for the test pits. Like I say, we didn't change the excavation, so the water will still run, down gradient from East Wakefield towards Perch Rock. It'll collect in our former rain garden, which is now, I think we call an infiltration basin. So there would be no erosion of our roof water onto the neighbor's property, and the water will be treated. In addition, he asked for a sequence of construction. So we listed that. It's got 21 steps. You can see it under here, sequence of construction. I'll highlight them. Clearly define and flag the property limits and the limits of construction. Install construction entrance anti-tracking mat in accordance with the plan. Install perimeter erosion and sediment control in accordance with the plan. hold pre-construction meeting, remember to call before you dig. Remove container on site. Create construction staging area. Remove and stockpile topsoil after erosion and sediment control measures have been installed. The topsoil shall be seeded immediately after stockpiled in order to stabilize the slope and limit sediment runoff. Stockpile topsoil shall be seeded and mulched when it is to be stored in more than 30 days at any time. Number 8, cut and fill remainder of site to establish the subgrade. And as you know, there's very little cutting and filling here. It's a few inches. 9, install infiltration basin, protection, infiltration basin systems from sediment entering the system. 10, excavate and construct a foundation of building with the appropriate stub openings. For utilities, upon completion, backfill foundation walls. 11, install utilities and connect utility service laterals to building. 12, place, grade, and compact the stone in the driveway base. 13, apply stabilization measures, topsoil, seeding, etc., to remainder of disturbed area. 13, apply, oh, I read that one, in accordance with the erosion and sediment control details. Sorry, I skipped that line. 14, inspect and clean infiltration basin as needed. 15, topsoil and grade where required and within 2 feet of proposed driveway. 15, I just read that, sorry. 16, complete construction of proposed building. 17, upon substantial completion of the building, complete the balance of the site work, including proposed paved apron to the street and line stabilization of all other disturbed areas. 19, fine grade rake seed a disturbed area. 20, inspect the infiltration basin and clean after seeding is complete. 20, that's 20. 21, after entire site is stabilized in accordance with the application and erosion and sediment control measures, remove temporary erosion and sediment control measures. So again, following Tom Grimaldi's suggestion, we added that to the plan. And if I could, I'd like to let William speak about number 6, which is the endangered species item.
Just before he moves on, has Tom Grimaldi seen what you just provided to us tonight?
He has, but I haven't been able to speak to him about it.
So he hasn't commented on it?
He hasn't commented, no.
Okay.
I sent it to him, I let him know we were gonna do it. I haven't heard back from him because it just happened today.
Okay, I just want to
Yeah.
be sure of where this is with Tom.
I understand, no,
Okay.
and sorry, I didn't get a chance to speak to him, I had hoped to.
Again.
But the timing was just not so. I did speak to him twice today, early in the morning, and then again, you know, when I told him I was about to make this plan, and then I haven't spoken to him since we sent it to him.
Okay, so we don't know whether he will agree or disagree with what you've changed and modified.
Well, we'll have to wait for him.
We'll wait to see. All right, and going back to the sequence of construction, number 17,
Yes?
is number 17 and 18 one, or they're two different things?
I think they're just numbered wrong, yeah.
Okay, so,
I read this for the first time myself, Mr. Chairman.
okay, so then 18 really doesn't exist where it is. It would be,
No, I think it was just a numbering sequence.
okay, so then 18 would become 19, or 19 would become
That's
18.
right.
All right, so you'll make those corrections. All right, have you made any effort to address the concerns of your abutting neighbors and the public who responded last month to this project?
I haven't since our last meeting. Prior to the meeting, I talked with all of them, and again, they address this commission differently than they address me personally.
No, well, again.
So I
you
can
know,
o- I
so
can
this-
only-
This plan here doesn't address any of their concerns.
They didn't specify anything on this plan that they didn't like.
Okay.
If you recall, all they did was, one said I was disingenuous, because I talked to his wife and his mother, not him, because he wasn't there. I tried him at his home. I tried him at his office. I mean, I live right across the street, he has my number, but I did the best I could. Hoffman, he told me he was in support of the project, but yet he wrote the letter, so he didn't specify anything that he didn't like about it, he just complained, honestly, if you read it. Peter Corse, I went to see, he didn't say anything. So, all the other neighbors that wrote me letters of support, they're okay. I don't know why those neighbors acted the way they did, but I still, even to this day, what I said before and what I will do in the future is I will still allow my neighbor on the corner to stay on my land and let his driveway stay on my land, and when I do the paving out in front, I'll still help him and not molest him, even though he's on my lot. Peter, he's my next door neighbor, so he's fine. I mean, you know, he actually moved this container at one time because he said it was in his way, so no problem, move it. And I cut trees down on his property, so, you know, he seems to, because he asked me to, not because I cut him up, you know, he asked
I
me.
just want to,
Yeah.
the plan,
So-
there's nothing in the plan.
Nothing's changed, because
Okay.
nobody said they didn't like anything on the
Right.
plan.
Jeff, was Tom aware of the concerns of the public regarding the plan when he reviewed the plan?
Yeah, I don't think Tom reviewed the whole record, but I indicated to him that one of the concerns of the commission, based on the public comments, was water infiltration based on this construction on their existing sites. So he paid close attention to that. And that's, I think, why he spent so much time on the rain garden and making sure it was up to the current updated stormwater manual standards that the state puts out.
Now, obviously, he's gonna have to review this project again,
Yes,
just to
he'll have to review the new plan, make sure his comments have all been incorporated and everything is
Satisfied.
sufficient. Right.
And again, Mr. Chairman, as we stated in the earlier meetings where we will completely protect all our neighbors surrounding it with erosion control, with hay bales, with the silt fence that you see. And our grading plan, as you can see, does not allow water to seep onto the abutting property. We're lower in all cases on all the abutters. And we will, be sure, and we'll work with Jeff that way, let him come out, make sure if there's any mistake, we'll regrade it. My neighbor did cut some trees down next door recently, and, again, not that matters, but in other words, they are definitely at a different elevation than we are, and we'll be sure that we pay special attention to that so that we don't erode onto their property.
Do you have any intention of opening up access to East Wakefield Boulevard from this project?
No.
Could you if you wanted to?
I could, but there'd be no reason that I could. I mean, my other neighbor has a driveway over there and has a shed over there, and I would not want to disturb them. I would commit to never disturb them, and it's a substantial upgradient. It would be to nobody's advantage.
Well, who knows down the road?
No,
I
it's
just asked the
it's
question.
a great question, but I would never do that, and I would commit to that by an easement if you like.
Anybody, any other specific
I
questions?
just think this thing with 6 that you're gonna explain is.
Talk louder,
is a
Frank.
killer.
Frank?
But item 6 is basically in common terms, a wetlands.
Well,
A designated map state wetland.
Well, no, I don't think it is, and I'd like to let my wetlands guy
Okay.
talk about that. Because I think what you found that the engineer was speaking about is endangered species. Are there any on our lot? And that's the thing about, the horned owl and the haired bat and the slimy salamander, those are all protected, right? And they have habitat that they live in. But if you look into that and, understand it more thoroughly, that they're only if they're found. Because those habitats are all over the mountain, but if they're found, then they're protected. And you have to remember, our little piece of wetland here is completely surrounded by houses. I mean, they can't survive there, So it's just not a place that you'll find those kind of amphibious creatures or that something haired bat, gray-haired bat, and the slimy orange salamander. I mean, they just don't live here. But let me let
Yeah.
William
Please,
speak
please
about
speak,
it, because he, is qualified to do that.
Move the mic over, please.
For the record, I know Mr. Diadio introduced me, but for the record, I'm William Jackson with Jackson Environmental. I'm a registered soil scientist in Connecticut. And I understand from the report, can I see the report? So item number 6. Okay, item number 6, per the town of Winchester's GIS mapping, the entire site is located within the Natural Diversity Database for potential endangered species. The commission may require a biologist to inspect the property and provide a report. Please note, the entire area surrounding the site is developed and most likely disturbed. So I'd like to talk a little bit about the NDDB map, and I do have a handout that I'd like to, so I would do have. To share with you.
I'll take it and pass it down. And just for the record, obviously you said you're a soil scientist. Soil scientist and biologist are one and the same?
No, they're not one and the same.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
So, the way the NDDB works is there's a significant project
I get it.
that falls inside of an area. A letter is typically generated to the DEEP requesting them to provide a review of that area and to identify the species that are listed and to make recommendations on how those species can be protected during construction. So that's typically the way the NDDB's protocol works. But let me introduce you to the map. This is the overall map for the town of Winchester, the overall NDDB map, and I draw your attention to,
Let me hold it for you so you can point. Sorry.
draw your attention to Highland Lake. The entire lake is hatched within the NDDB. Let me back up. The NDDB is the Natural Diversity Database, and basically it's a map that identifies known areas where state and local protected species may reside. And so for this particular setting, the NDDB map is focused on Highland Lake and the immediate shoreline. So that is the sensitive area. It is actually the surface waters of the lake for this particular setting. Now, if I can draw your attention to the blow up the handout that I sent out. I'd like you to compare the handout to the upper right-hand corner of your site plan where it shows the site location, it shows the property with respect to East Wakefield Boulevard and Perch Rock Trail. And if you look on the NDDB map, you'll see that the boundary for that NDDB area is actually south of Perch Rock Trail and north of East Wakefield Boulevard, closer to Perch Rock Trail. So the actual site, although if you look on the upper right-hand corner of your map, you'll see that part of Kingsbury Avenue is actually located within the NDDB area. However, the actual the site of development is really on the boundary, and part of it it's either right on the boundary or just outside of the NDDB area. So I just wanted to comment and explain the NDDB map a little bit.
If you had to position this application site on this map, this blue piece of paper,
How did I draw that?
where would it be?
Well, comparing it to the upper right-hand corner of the map, the upper part of Kingsbury Drive is certainly in the area, and then
When you say the upper part of Kingsbury Drive, the part closest toward Wakefield Boulevard?
I'm sorry, say again, please?
When you say the upper part of Kingsbury Avenue,
I'm talking the northern part of it, intersecting Birch Rock Trail.
that's the northern part or the southern part?
Well, I'm interpreting it as the northern part. I'm interpreting the north being towards the upper part of the page.
Again, let's keep it simple for me. On this map here, where would Kingsbury Avenue fall?
I'm gonna draw it for you. I got
Well,
it right here.
it's shown, Kingsbury Avenue is shown on the map.
It's
shows Perch Rock Trail and East Wakefield Boulevard and
Not on this map.
That-
He's
none of
referencing
this.
this map.
Yes,
Where?
it shows the street.
It's not it's not labeled. so
It's
he
not
can't-
No, it's not labeled,
Whoa.
but there's.
It's the L and
there's-
alpha.
There is, Kemp Road.
You saying that, I don't know that, but go ahead.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
this is Perch Rock Trail right here, right? This is, East Wakefield right here. This is, Kingsbury, this is Kempt, and this is that other little road some other girl owns, Jewett.
Why isn't this East Wakefield?
But that is East Wakefield, but, you know, this is how East Wakefield goes, because this is Perch Rock. So this is
Correct,
East
the grade
Wakefield.
line.
That's how each Wakefield is. You know, this is Perch Rock. And these are the three little streets that
Well,
connect them.
what I'd like you to do, just for the records, is include on this handout, you know, where your property is and where the project is.
So I just drew it in
Again,
red.
you're showing me.
That's no problem. I know where. I can make copies.
I don't know if the accuracy of it, but you can make copies.
So you have not been at the site, though, to inspect for any endangered species?
Well, John didn't,
Well, that's what I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
let's ask,
Yes, that's what-
William that. I believe he has, but let's ask him.
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Have you actually been on the site to inspect for any endangered species?
I was on the site to delineate wetlands. I was not on the site to inspect for species of either flora or fauna. However, as I explained before, the protocol with the NDDB is if there is a significant project within the NDDB area, a request is made to the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection to provide a determination of the species of concern that are identified by that hatched area, and to request assistance in providing for mitigation of whatever species is, whichever species the deep identifies as the concern.
has that request been made?
I don't believe that request has been made, but there is a question on whether or not the site is located within the area.
Grimaldi says it is.
But, I mean, the only part of it that is the small entrance on Perch Rock Trail.
It says the
And only
entire
thing
site.
that you just need to keep in mind
house
is that
location.
that's
What's
gonna be,
The house location is not.
that's right, and that kind of request would need to be done really for the whole lake.
Well,
I mean,
let's take one application at a
No, I
time.
understand, but you understand what we're saying is that it doesn't affect, in other words, our lot's not within that area, but the question begs, we need to check for endangered species on every property on the lake?
We're just going by what the engineer recommended
No, I
here.
do understand, please.
So
don't
that's
get
why
me wrong.
we're doing
Sure.
due diligence on
No,
this.
and as you should,
And I mean,
as you should.
obviously,
you
you,
gave a map?
you gave a map that
Yes.
says it's not
Just
in the
a-
area,
That's all right, no.
but the engineer we asked is saying it is. So we need some, obviously, some clarification on that.
And I could add that to Tom's request to zoom in closer to
Yeah.
verify this.
Yeah, I think,
And that's a free of charge by DEP, or they come out and inspect it?
Nothing's free of charge. No, they don't inspect, because I've done this in other properties, and they don't do it for you.
I gave
What
them
they do is they tell you the species
Franklin?
that might be out there, both plant and, you know, not mammal, but, you know,
Birds or whatever.
birds, right, you know, the slimy, the bat, there's half a dozen, a certain turtle. They tell you what might be in there, and then you hire a scientist to look everywhere to try to find it. And if you can't find it, then you write a report that says there is none, right? I mean, they don't do it for you. They just tell you what species could be there. But again, it's only in the area. So, you know, so you're talking about the little driveway in front of Perch Rock Trail would be the area that I've been looking at. You know, it's gravel. I mean, there's nothing there.
Not for anything, that little driveway driveway gives you access to everything.
I love the driveway.
So, let's not belittle the importance of that little driveway.
I love the driveway, but I'm saying that's the only spot that they're worried about an amphibious creature or an owl
Well,
being on.
I think the way the commission is going to proceed, unless you have any more information to provide us, is that whatever documentation you gave to us, Jeff will move to Tom, and Tom will review it and come back with more comments or no comments.
Sure.
And then we can sort of close the public hearing at that time.
Also, that'll give Tom a chance to look at.
Yeah, yeah. And just before we move ahead with closing the public hearing for today, is there anybody in the audience that is here for this public hearing? Okay. All right, do we have any other questions of the applicant? We good? All right, do we have a motion to continue the public hearing to next month?
Yes.
Frank, you said yes, you want to make it?
Yes, I will. Hold on one second.
I shouldn't have left that on there. That was a note to me.
And make a motion for IWWC 2410, 240 Kingsbury Avenue for the public hearing to be extended to the month of September 2024.
Is there a second? The only thing I'd like to add is that to give Tom Grimaldi the opportunity to review the amended plans and to provide us with a report. And as part of that, would you ask him to please have the report available to the applicant and to ourselves, so that if the applicant has a need to make any adjustments because of Tom's comment, that there's time for it to be in our packet next month?
Yeah,
when we
absolutely.
get it?
Tom was on vacation.
Yeah, no, I know,
So
I know.
the timelines got compressed.
Yeah, and ask him that if necessary to make himself available should we need to, or request that he be here. Okay?
Do you want him to definitely show up next month then?
I think it behooves us to have him here.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor of the continuance? That's unanimous? All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Peter? Can I just get a request for extension for the file as well?
This is,
Okay, thank you.
Is this an agenda?
Yes.
May I have one? Thank you.
All right, gentlemen.
thank you.
All right, have a good night, guys. Under old business, application 24-10, the applicant is John Mills on behalf of Sandy Drive at 240 Kingsbury Avenue. We'll grant the extension. I'll make a motion that we grant the extension to the applicant based on the information provided and subject to the review by Tom Grimaldi. Is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, Jamie seconded. So, and all those in favor of the extension? All right, it's unanimous. Okay, new business, application 24-24. Jonathan Knowles, 504 West Wakefield Boulevard. Introduce yourself, please.
John Yoles, 504 West Wakefield Boulevard. We're looking to,
Go ahead.
we're looking to install an irrigation system with a pump so we can water our lawn and use the lake to do so.
Okay, and sure on the information you provided, where you're putting it, you want to put the motor in the shed or?
So there's gonna be, the shed's down by the water, there's gonna be a little box with a pump on it, the line's gonna go down, pump it out. Down the wall. 7 sprinkler heads.
Is there any excavation to the wall or anything like
No.
that with that pipe going into the lake?
Nope, it's gonna go down the side of the wall.
Outside the wall, on the outside of the wall?
In the corner of the wall.
Anybody with any concerns or any questions?
Who's doing the work, Jim?
T.W. Burr?
Right there.
T.W. Burr, they've put in a couple around the lake. Paper Masters and there's one other one that they've done recently.
No concerns. Flat lot, minimal impact. Can we make this an agent determination and just move forward?
We talked about that.
Or are we,
Past.
yeah.
We can suggest it, and if we think we can make it an agent determination.
This one seems pretty cut and dry.
I mean, if
There's no grade.
yeah, somebody's got a 15% slope or a 20% slope, and they're trying to put sprinklers in, that's a
So we're not
different
making
scenario.
this a generic issue to be a public agent issue.
The
We
only-
will request for this.
I
The
think
only
this
thing
one,
with agent determination is within the 100-foot.
The what?
It's within the 100-foot boundary, and you can't have an agent determination within that.
so I guess you gotta come back next.
I know,
You know,
Coming back next
I
month
don't- I
anyway,
don't
there's-
think- I don't know, does irrigation fall under maintenance of your yard? You know, this is, we're getting a little far-fetched here, is that gonna be a surface line coming to the pump? Or is it gonna be underground coming out to the wall and then up and over the wall?
It's gonna go right down the wall.
But how is it getting from the
From the
top
pump
of the house
house.
to the pump house? On the ground?
The pump is gonna be down by the wall,
Okay.
and there's gonna be, there's about 10 to 20 feet. Gonna have to go down and to attach the electricity from there to
So
the
you're
boat.
digging a trench?
18 inches deep, yeah, back to the boathouse.
what's the reason for the boathouse, using the boathouse?
That's where the power is, there's power down at the boathouse.
Oh, that's where so the trench will be for electricity, not for...
Correct, not for that, yeah,
Oh,
right,
not for the
it's a pump,
irrigation.
it's gonna go straight down the outside of the wall.
House, you just want
They-
a water line out to it.
What's your point?
Well, my problem is you have two different things. It says in the specs that if it's within that 100 feet, you can't use an agent determination. But then again, this is so simple, you know what I mean? It's,
I mean, we could spend all night on the discussion, let's just,
so what do you wanna do?
we'll accept the application
Yeah,
and vote on it next month.
yeah. When are you gonna do the work?
As soon as you let me,
Okay.
I'll be back next month anyway, there's an easement issue, I guess, that I'm part of.
Okay, yes, you are.
So we're doing you a favor. All right, all
So I'm
those
happy to come back
in
next
favor of
month.
accepting the application, do we have a motion to that effect?
Motion to accept IWWC 24-24, installation of irrigation system, including pump, to utilize lake to irrigate the lawn.
I'll second that.
All right, is there a need for a public hearing?
No.
Yep.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting? All right, unanimous.
Thank you, guys, have a great night.
Thank you. All right, next application is 24-26. Does anybody know what happened to 25? Jeff?
I forget which application that is, but,
Or maybe Pizzano or something?
not, no, that would've been earlier.
I'm just noticing that it's out of sequence, that's all.
Yeah, there were, I think it's a Salmeri, application, 216 they were not available to come tonight, so they asked to hold it until next
Okay.
month.
All right, 24-26, the applicant is James Pagano. The location is 840 East Wakefield Boulevard, and the proposal is to remove and replace existing decks. Will you please introduce yourself for the record?
James Pagano, 840 East Wakefield Boulevard. My wife Eileen is behind us as well. So I prepared a little presentation so that we might be able to better understand the drawings and what the work is going to be required for, to do the work. Get it syncing, right? There you go. Just bring it up so it's the whole one. So I should just have to pay it down. So again, we're just going to remove and replace the existing decks. What I've shown you here is an aerial photograph from 1980, and as you can see, my house is the one that is,
You have a mouse to point to it?
yes, I do. That is my house right there. This is the deck that we're talking about here, and it goes around the whole thing to here. All right, and it goes all the way to the garden area here. So that's the limits of the deck. All right, and as I said, this is from 1980 from the state of Connecticut, so showing that this was there since then. What I've got here is the survey done by Peter Keefe. Shows all the property lines, the existing decks that are showing right there. Again, we'll start at this end. There's a small staircase. The deck goes like this. It's 4 feet wide at this location. Goes out a little wider here. Again, it's 4 feet wide right here. And then it comes along this area, all right? This is a better view of what we're talking about. What you see in yellow is what's going to be removed and replaced, all right? This existing staircase is underneath the house, or underneath this area. It is not, it's a stone, and it's not going to be replaced. All right, what I've shown here as well is, you'll see the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And what we'll do is, as I go along, you'll see that this is number 1, all right? And you can see the existing posts that are there, all right, along with the existing decks. All right, this is number 2. We're looking in this direction, and you can see the existing post that's there now. This is number 3, and it's looking back this way. All right, underneath the dock and the deck, and you can see there's an existing post that's there now. Number 4 is again looking in this direction. It's the same post. You can see the post here, you can see a post back there. Number 5 is looking this way. You'll marvel at what you look at. You'd be surprised at what can hold up things. So, as you can see, it's not plumb, and it's sitting on an existing rock, or boulder, I should say. It's not a rock. And number 6 is back this way, and this is how the dock area is actually hung off of the existing deck. All right, so this is the overall new plan. All right, again, this new plan is just, I showed you all of this before, and I went through each of the photographs. It's just a little bit better clarification. You can see it a little easier and a little better. The new decks will be having pressure-treated, engineered lumber beams, all right, LVLs, all right, and they will be, this area is 36 feet long along this area. Then we have a 9'6" area, then we have a 28-foot, then we have a 32-foot that runs this way, and then a 30-foot for the dock one. Everything will be 2x10s, 1 foot on 1 foot typical between everything, and everything will be galvanized. All the hangers will be there. What I've done is I've given you details as to how things are going to be performed here. All right, one of the areas that we talked about, shown in the photograph, was this area right here on number 3. And what we're doing there is we're actually taking that existing concrete area, doweling into the existing concrete, and we're going to raise it up and create a new better concrete area so that the new 6x6s will carry the load for all of these LVLs and the docks. So this is the deck area right here, and there's the triple LVL, and here's the dock area with an LVL. All right, and then the other LVL, this is one LVL, and this is the other LVL here. All right, the one area that you saw with the post that was out of plumb, what we're gonna do is take the existing boulder, create a 10 or 12 by 12 pad, and concrete pad, dowel into the existing boulder, and then create an area so that we can have a new plumb 6x6 on top of it. This is what we would like to do, all right? The decking will be composite, the handrails will be 3'6". Gate enclosures are as required. The only other thing that I can say is that this is exactly what is there now. I am not changing any dimensions on anything. The only thing that we're doing is upgrading to new, better construction, 6x6s instead of 4x4 posts, LVL beams, which I have calculations for. If anybody wants, I could give them to you, but they came through, right through Ifland Lumber and their people. That's where we're gonna go through everything. I'm gonna use a local contractor. His name is Rick McAllister. He's Authentic Renovations. He's done some work here on the lake. He's done some work around. In the case of, I will be on site the entire time while this construction is going on. I can't start until the lake goes down a little bit, so we're talking about October, November type thing, that this will get started with the composite decking probably finishing in the springtime. All right. Now this is exactly what is shown here now. If I had my rather, if I could, I would love to cantilever out 2 feet along this edge. I would love to extend this 2 feet out. But if the commission says no, I'll go with exactly what's there. But I would love to cantilever this out at 2 feet. No additional things in the water, no additional, it'd purely be a cantilever.
Let me ask you something right off the bat, Mr. Lozano. The only thing you're looking for from us is primarily what you're gonna do with your piers. The rest of that goes along with the building. That's coming off of his building. That's nothing, that's not a dock.
Well, you have to understand that the water, this is the edge of the building.
Right. But
Right here.
Construction-wise, it's gonna go to the building department.
It's gonna go to their department, yes.
Correct.
And Augie will get involved with that.
Construction has nothing to do with us.
Okay, and Augie has looked at these.
The interference with the lake bed.
Nothing on the lake bed other than those 2 things that I talked about, those 2 piers.
Those 2 piers.
That's it.
That's the only thing we have to be concerned over, are the 2 piers and anything to do with the lake bed.
Now, it doesn't matter, I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but again, if I have something that extends to here, and it is over the lake, if I now ask for it to go to here, you don't mind?
Without touching the bed?
Not touching the lake bed.
Well, we have a problem with that only because you can only have X amount of, this is a tough one. You can only have X amount of square foot of
320 square feet.
320 square.
But are we calling this a dock to deck?
No, the dock is only 4 feet wide by 30 feet long, that's 120 square feet.
But it all hangs over the water.
But there is no place to dock anything anywhere else, and I have no intentions of extending any of the docks or any of the only thing I would do is this deck area, like I said, it's 4 feet wide, I would love to make it 6 feet.
So, question, the beams that are presently in place that support the walkway, the 4-foot walkway,
2 by 10.
they're coming out from under the house someplace.
Yeah,
And
there's a ledger.
at the far end in the water, they're being supported by the beams you're installing.
Well, yes, there is an existing 4x4
Yeah, but
post
they're
that I'm
gonna-
gonna change it out to a 6x6,
Right.
correct?
The question I have is, do you need those beams? Can you cantilever out from the house out to wherever ultimately you wind up with what you have? or 2 more feet, do you actually need the beams for any purpose? Oh, yeah.
Yes, I need the beams to support the entire deck along this edge here, if that's what you're asking.
Absolutely.
All right, but do I need, if I extend out 2 extra feet, I'm sure that I can work with the carpenter to come up with a hanger that allows the 2 extra feet to support back into my existing LVL beams.
So you're saying that, you guys with your experience, you're saying that, or Gary's saying, you didn't say anything yet, that he can't just simply double beam out from the house?
Let's look at it this way. Here's his foundation, and here's his house. Here's the pier. His joists are coming out like this.
Right, I know.
So he has to hold them up somehow.
They can't be supported at the back end.
No, he'd have to go down on a diagonal. That would be pulling the top out there.
Okay.
He's better off with the 6x6s that he's talking about.
All right, what I'm trying to do is eliminate access or disturbance on the lake bed if he can cantilever out.
I don't.
No, I can't cantilever out 6 feet, if that's what you're asking for, and then eliminate the existing posts that are there? No, that can't be done.
Okay.
No.
So he's gonna have to just change 2.
That's why I went
2
from,
footings.
I-
That's it.
again, I'm just extending the footings. The footings are there.
Right.
All I'm doing is extending what's there. I'm not gonna make anything any bigger or anything like that.
And
One of them's really a rock that I'm gonna basically, a boulder,
You're gonna tie into that.
I'm gonna tie into that as an existing support.
And if you
Now-
were to go out 2 additional feet from the house.
Not on that end.
If you were to go out 2 additional feet at that house, the support mechanism underneath of that is still where they are now.
Correct. Correct. Not changing any supports if I go 2 extra feet. Now, one of the things that I want to show you is, last year I was here before the commission. Oh, heck. Sorry. And you were kind enough to grant us permission to replace the wall. And that's the wall that's been replaced, all right? Now, in addition to that wall, if you look right there, all right, there's a cutout in the wall that I've accommodated so that I can take these LVL beams and put them into the wall and use it as a support, all right? We've got one for the dock and one for the deck. I've created the holes there, realizing that we were gonna have to do this work. In fact, you remember, I told you I'd be back.
Right.
So I'm back, and hopefully I never have to, someday we're gonna do the siding on the house, and I'm probably gonna have to come before you as well, but that's beside the point.
So that's what,
This is the walls that you guys approved last year.
yeah, that mess that was there later.
That was a horror story.
Yes, that's what I mean.
And now you can see what it looks like now.
Yes,
Yeah, it came out nice.
very nice.
All right, so if you
then,
guys,
For
go ahead, I'm sorry.
clarification, our jurisdiction only extends to the lake supports in the water for the proposal.
And I'm not changing
The
anything.
structure itself, we can't make any determination
So-
on how the structure is designed or built. We can sit here and like Matt and I are saying, where does it come in as far as our 300 and some square foot? That's cantilever overlaid along with his deck. You know what I mean? There's to give him any more space.
Well, if I remember, your big deck in front of that wall
Correct.
is not over water, that's over.
Technically, there is water underneath there.
It was down.
Right, basically is right on, now, is it navigable water? You know, the definition of navigable water is if you can fit a canoe down it. That's my understanding of navigable water. Can you fit a canoe under there? The answer is no. It's filled with boulders under there,
Our
but there is
definition-
water.
I think our definition is a lake bed.
Okay. There is some lake bed there, yes. But I can walk under there probably with my boots on.
So is it a deck or is it a dock since it's over water?
But it's existing, guys. It's been there since 1980.
It's not a dock.
No, it's not putting a boat down.
Well, part of it, but,
But that's fine. There's nothing
so there was
changing there.
some litigation that took place on a little boathouse that hangs over the water, right around the corner from this. It's a little red boathouse right across from Jeff Dutton's, 821 East Wakefield or something. And there was something along those lines where, and you were probably on the commission at the times, Steve.
Blame him.
Just call me Joe.
And I'm just thinking about it, I think I was, but, and I forget the exact, I can get the address of it, but I know I believe they were looking to enlarge it or do something over the water, I can't remember, but.
Well, right
Listen,
now,
Well,
Right
If
now
it
we
gives you
approve-
guys grief, I will not change it.
no, just,
but we, no, I'm saying, but the town allows for cantilever docks, I mean, right?
yeah.
Okay.
What he's asking for now, without the extra feet, is a replacement of what existed from 1980.
Before that even, probably.
So, I mean,
I have details that show that 1980 it's there.
I think my comfort level is whatever existed there, whether it was a dock or, it's a walkway in reality. You can't even put a table there, it's as wide as this structure here,
4 feet wide.
you know.
It's
so-
even less, because the 4 feet, the railing is in the middle of that right now, so you have at least the 4x4 post plus a little bit. So it's really like 3/6 if that much, if it's that much. But that's neither here nor there. I would love to have the 2
So
extra
that
feet.
has to go before, for, ZBA or something?
You can't approve extra 2 feet.
What's that?
You can't approve an extra 2 feet over the water because he doesn't own it. So, like a deck, you can't make technically he doesn't own what's the water, the lake bed. We have the authority to put a dock in there, approve a dock, 10 by 40 or 10 by 32, whatever you wanna go with. But I don't think you can go bigger.
Once you give somebody permission on it, once you give someone permission on a deck on their house, it becomes part of their dwelling.
Right.
Now you've given them 2 more feet over lake. I don't know the clarification on it.
I will withdraw it.
Well, it's not up to us.
that's not
It's
it.
not-
No,
You
this
brought
is,
up a great
this is a good
question
forum
for
for the
us.
discussion.
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's a legitimate
That's a
request.
positive discussion, not a negative one.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, I just think you got 4 feet now, I think that's what you got. I mean, in my opinion.
But it's not our call.
What's that?
It's not our call.
No,
It's
he's got it
the
4
building
feet
department.
wide now.
It's ZBA's call on this.
No. They don't own the property. How can you give them something more?
It's pre-existing.
Well, where does he
is
go
where-
for approval of that?
You can't even apply for it.
So you just shut him down at the.
Well, no, he
in
can
the
rebuild
office?
what's there, rebuilds what's there and be happy you got what you got.
He can be.
Again, that doesn't go under our jurisdiction, though, right?
No, but,
Okay.
Well, I mean, we have to just accept this so we can double check
yeah.
that as well between this and next month.
You can't.
Jeff's making
Jeff,
notes.
any input?
Jeff?
I'm making my notes now
Yeah.
to ask Nelligan how any expansion should be treated.
Over
Um,
water, expansion
oh,
over
yeah.
water.
Yeah, in this particular case.
In this, again, I'm on site the entire time that it's there. Second thing is, when we did this wall, Jeff was there every day taking photographs, documenting that we were following the rules and making sure that there was no issues anywhere.
I can tell you that kind of guy, so that's not the concern. And I would suggest if you can get the extra 2 feet.
I would love to get the 2 extra feet. We can put our lounge chair instead of a little fold-up chair.
I know what you mean.
Have coffee.
It gives you a lot of.
But I'm just saying, if it gives you guys heartache, I'll take it away.
No, it's, I think now is the conversation, and you can request it, and, the commission will have insight from the lawyer to see if we can approve it, or at least
So,
if we don't have any jurisdiction over it, or we think we do, because it's over water. I think what comes into question in my mind is the bigger patio that you have, where that's over rocks, you said.
Correct. This area, that's right.
Yeah, but, we can't see under it, whether it's part of the lake bed or it's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying?
There is water under there.
There's water.
It literally goes to the edge of the house.
So that's part of the lake.
There might be this much water there, but it does get further as you get into the lake. All right, at the edge of the dock, over in this area here, once you get to the dock area, at this edge of the dock, it's 3'6". At the back end of the dock, it's 5 feet deep. All right, so it does go from nothing at the edge of the house to 5 feet here, probably 3 or so right here. We had 4 feet of drawdown and we had 2 feet plus of sand at the bottom of this wall when we were doing it.
Basically
In fact,
stating,
if I go back a little bit, you can kind of see.
Gary?
from your foundation, your wall,
You can-
your foundation.
This is what we're
and
talking
everything.
about. You see the boulders underneath that I'm talking about? All right, we put up this silt fence so that we get no debris that was coming anywhere near the lake while we were doing the walls. I had the silt fence up the entire length of the wall. But as you can see, there are major rocks and boulders that are underneath the deck and the dock and the deck. This is the dock area, all right? And then there is water that comes in and goes around these boulders that are there.
Right, water comes right up to your foundation.
Basically, yes.
Water right up to the foundation all the way around. So it's lake bed, right up to the wall.
Okay, are there any other questions we have of the applicant?
So I have one more question.
Go ahead.
So if Jeff is gonna go check with Mr. Nelligan about the extension, does this mean that there's the potential for me to get postponed from September to October while we wait for this jurisdiction? Or you'll get approval based on this? Or how does it gonna work with the 2 extra feet?
Jeff's gonna have to go further than Mr. Nelligan.
Yeah.
And this is my opinion, all right? Because now it becomes part of the house. All right, so now it's a zoning, it's gonna be part of a zoning issue too. It's gonna be, it's not just us.
I think to answer your question, from your concern, is that the drawdown will, I'm gonna say won't happen until November this year.
Yeah.
So, you know, in a worst-case scenario, if we don't make a decision in September, the water still doesn't allow you to do what you need to do until probably maybe the second week into November. So, you know, September is our next meeting, which we may have answers and be able to move ahead. Worst-case scenario, if we don't, or other concerns, we still have October.
Okay.
So, you know, you're not gonna get, you're not gonna lose the opportunity.
That's what I'm a
In
little
the-
concerned about.
for the,
You saw the condition of the deck that's there.
Right, so.
I don't wanna put it through another season.
No, I'm just saying, so you should have an answer for us, from us, hopefully next month.
Okay.
So
But
if we
the
could-
only thing that I have to do then is modify these drawings, which you don't care about. If the cantilever is approved, I have to give it new detail. That'll have to be included within the
For the
drawing.
zoning, right? Go to zoning.
Or not even for that, just for
Oh,
Jeff and
yes,
for
right.
Augie,
Well,
the building inspector.
don't say we don't care about it, it's still over water.
Correct.
It's more now over water, and as, I guess Matt indicated, there's a 320-foot allowance for a deck or a dock in or over the water. So if you stay within that limits, and I don't know
2 extra feet or the entire
the
amount?
entire thing.
No, that's not gonna happen.
See, that's why I'm pushing and wanted some kind of a definitive answer as to that real patio deck you have on the side of the house, in front of that new wall you put in, if there was water underneath there.
There is water underneath this area.
Yeah, that's your negative part of this. Yeah, right underneath there, yeah.
But again, that's existing.
Yeah,
And I'm not touching, the extension wasn't planned in this area anyway.
Yeah, but it's
The
still-
extension is only here.
But existing still goes, is for your coverage.
Okay.
If you exceeded in the existing, you've exceeded it. You can't go more than that. Now,
Right.
if you have 500 square foot of existing,
That's about what this total deck is.
we can't sit
Deck
here,
and dock total is about 500 square feet,
we can't sit here and give you more because you have existing.
because it was there already. All right, understood. And I'm not,
Yeah.
if it means that it gives everybody druthers or problems, I'm willing to just remove and replace.
You're removing and
Everybody's
replacing
gonna want a 500 square foot.
is a shoe.
Well, I don't think you consider that a dock. I think you consider this part of dock. You've got
And
triangles
it's
there,
worth
that's dock. This is deck.
researching it to find out if we can get there. I just.
Right. Okay.
you know,
Thank you.
just a thought. Is there an area of that walkway that you can eliminate that you don't need?
Not really,
Okay,
not really.
in other words, trade footage here,
Yeah.
footage there, kind
Yeah,
of.
the only access, this is a big big garden area that my wife has, and it's gorgeous. It actually was written up in the Island Lake newsletter. She had an article in there about the befores and afters. And that's really the only access is this way.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion to accept IWWC 24-26, 840 East Wakefield Boulevard, remove and replace existing decks.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a need for a public hearing?
No.
Okay. All those in favor of acceptance? Okay, we'll see you next month.
Thank you,
And
guys. Thank
have a conversation with Jeff.
I'll do my research.
Yeah, okay, just let me know. You
Yeah.
have my phone number.
Yep.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, have a good one.
Again,
Nice work.
this is the kind of work that I want to get done on the deck, just what you saw on the dock, on the
Yeah.
walls. So, again, I make this place not for me, for my great-grandchildren. Thank you.
Application 24-27, the applicant is John Sliney, 308 East Wakefield Boulevard. Is John here? You want to come forward, please?
They're really here.
Hi, for the record, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Name is John Sliney, 308 East Wakefield Boulevard in Winsted.
Okay, and why are you before this commission?
We have issues with coverage, lot coverage, imperviousness.
Jeff, you want to expand on why he's here?
Mr. Sliney at his property has a violation on the land records as relates to work done without a permit that also brought him well over the impervious coverage allowability. He is here tonight to start an application process to hopefully get a proposal accepted by the commission, which, while may still be over the limit, might be acceptable to stay in place and eventually clear the land order.
Can we start with what was actually approved?
The lake wall was approved, so the only thing in question here is the patio areas, the hardscaping of the property.
Is that
Was the
correct?
lake wall where it exists today?
Yes.
When the violation was issued, was that lake wall installed in a place where it was supposed to have been installed?
Yes.
Okay. So the gentleman or the homeowner didn't go further out into the lake? It's just a question of coverage now?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And the hope, my understanding of what you're requesting is you're attempting to address the amount of impervious coverage you have.
Yes.
And if you can eliminate some or all of that to conform, then the violation would go away.
Right.
And if you can't convince us of that, then you'd have to do more extensive adjustments to the
Adjustments.
impervious coverage?
Adjustments.
Adjustments.
Nice word for it.
Okay. All right, you want to talk about what you want to do?
Yeah, Bill. Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson is also.
Good evening. For the record, my name is William Jackson with Jackson Environmental, and I am a soil scientist in the state of Connecticut. And so prior to 2020, there was a level of development on the property. During 2020, a large tree was removed on the property that was a hazard, and there was disturbance, and that was an opportunity to reestablish some areas of the property that were disturbed with paving and decking. And that work was, I think you have this map. This is the August 2021 survey that was prepared for Mr. Sliney by Berkshire Engineering and Surveying, showing improvements to the property that were constructed in 2020 and estimating the impervious area of the 0.1 So Jackson Environmental has been retained to assess the various surfaces on the property, to review the impermeable areas before and after the improvements of 2020, and to make recommendation regarding stormwater management protocols and/or engineered pervious design to reduce the impermeable area that's shown on the plan.
I just need to, can I just confirm what was, this map was before 2020, before anything was done?
That map was generated in 2021, and it shows the improvements that were made in 2020. There is an earlier map, a map dated originally June 8th of 2020 that shows the property prior to the development.
What was the impervious coverage then?
That was not noted. It's not noted on the map, but we can provide that to you next month, the prior impervious area prior to 2020 versus the post-impervious area.
So the only thing that was permitted was the new wall. And all the concrete pavers, all the stone, concrete pavers, the deck, and the concrete pavers in front of the house, on the roadside of the house? That-
No
that-
deck, no deck
Was permitted.
no, there was no deck involved, I don't.
Well, you got just a small one coming in the stairs? Going into the stairs?
Oh, that's just stairs.
It
They
references
call it
that.
deck here.
They're like, kinda like they go both ways.
Yeah. So all that is new? The whole thing?
You knew you had to get a permit for your wall,
Well,
and you never thought about getting one for all
That's
this other stuff.
That's a lot of
well,
coverage.
well, where it went was the tree that was between 308 and 306. It was a 30-odd inch cedar that went rotted, was dropping limbs. The only way to access it was by machine. And as the cutter brought his machines in, it just demoed anything that was in front. There's not that much room to start with. Going down to the water, everything was chewed up, destroyed as the one tree came down, and then the stump was ground, hopefully correctly.
So is that then the Moser side? Where the tree was?
Yes, it was between two houses.
Okay.
And John is a 97-year-old guy that walks around a lot and was dropping limbs. I didn't really feel like having to pick him up. So, long story short, my wife's looking at the thing, and it's a total muddle. And she said, well, call these masons, and we started.
Is there any reason why at that point you didn't come back and modify the permit or request?
No, I didn't, it didn't dawn on me, well, it was COVID, the end of COVID, everybody, not that that's an excuse by any stretch, but, all things considered, let's do it, we'll take care of it later.
So do you have a plan to reduce this impervious coverage?
Well, after speaking with Jeff and after speaking with Bill, Bill has some input and Jeff has some input. Speaking of the front side of the opposite the water, that area in the back it was suggested that could possibly be, all that could either be made pervious without affecting anything in the
a little.
You didn't do any expansion on your driveway whatsoever?
No.
Okay, so if we took that calculation right there against what you put in and said, do equal amount pervious pavers out there with the right base, that would take away from his infraction. It's not gonna lower what he had, we're not looking to lower anything he had existing from before putting the patio in, you know what I mean? But if he turns around and is willing to put a pervious paver system in his driveway, leave his patio in place, instead of tearing it all up and getting down there and doing that, we're bringing him right back to the same amount of pervious or impervious that he had, or pervious that he had prior.
No, Gary.
Yeah.
Cause all this stuff on this part right here is all new. That's.
All up front is new, but if that equals out to the driveway, do you understand? His driveway's considered impervious too because it's stone. You understand? That's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. That's the way the whole thing is with zoning and this commission. Let's
I
keep
agree,
it
I
even
understand,
across the board.
absolutely, you have to.
I'm gonna sit here and say plain blank, in my seat here, rather than tearing up a whole nice waterfront, I would sit here, I would sit here and say, let's tally up what he's got here, and say make that pervious out there.
For next month, can you bring in dimensions of, number one, what was impervious before any of the construction?
We have that.
Okay.
We have pretty much have that.
Well, you just
well,
said you didn't you?
I know.
misunderstood.
Bill had said this is, we'll remeasure on what was at,
Okay.
prior to,
That'd be good to have that number.
there was.
We have numbers,
No, prior to the,
1527 in the driveway,
prior to the tree deal,
330 stone.
it was, the folks that owned it before us
There's no
were
more there.
aficionados of putting plastic and white stones down everywhere. So they,
That was,
anything,
right.
what's that?
That's all impervious
Yeah,
to.
plastic is.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If there is a look back on what was impervious, quite a bit.
Can you, at this point, can you tell us what you're proposing to do to remediate the violation and bring yourself to complete compliance or more in compliance?
More of them.
As I said earlier, our firm's been retained to, number one, to assess the various surfaces on the property, both and review the impermeable areas before 2020 and after 2020. So next month, we will come in with your requested area, the requested impervious area prior to
Okay, thank you.
this development. And then we will also have the impervious area post-2020, the present area, and we will have recommendations regarding engineered pervious design.
Can you break out for me, please, what the street side of the house, concrete pavers, what that portion is, and then what the pavers in the back, what that portion is, so we can.
Okay,
so
so
we
you're gonna
can-
make a distinction between impervious
Well,
area,
just so we know how much,
lakeside versus upslope?
right, if we're okay saving this and leaving that as it is, how much are we gonna save, or do we need more on this side?
Simple math, it looks like the driveway's like 26%. So that would bring him from 73 still to 47. So, just using the 1527 gravel drive that's on this plan right here.
And if you include the house that was existing and the gravel driveway, it appears that there was 42% roughly, just by quick.
Before.
There's also a patio here that's not shown. So there was a little bit more impervious area, but
How do we know it was submitted in 2020.
It's not on the survey, it's on the land record.
Okay, well, so we get us whatever detailed numbers you can,
Okay.
that'd be appreciated.
Anybody with any other requests? Frank? No. Gary?
No, I, like I say, if you can show everything you had at that point in time, and show everything you did illegally, let's just put it that way. Everything you did illegally.
past.
You give me the square footage that you did illegally, and if we can make it work somewhere without tearing all this apart, I would think that the commission have to look at it.
The project came out beautiful. It was just beautiful. I mean, noticeable as soon as you drive by it. It's
Right.
noticeable.
Right, so I think, we just gotta know where you were prior to doing it. That's what, you gotta get back to that anyways, somehow.
Is the applicant's soil scientist by license equipped to help us resolve this, or does he need an engineer?
It's an engineered plan, I think you gotta stay with an engineer, would you think, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, Berkshire Engineering did it, they calculated it, so. And I have a hard time trying to assume that you had a patio that wasn't documented, because Berkshire's pretty thorough, I know, I've worked with them on numerous occasions, so I'm not sure why they didn't document what was there prior to, even when they did the original survey in 2018. Why they didn't document anything else. I know I worked with those guys on a project in 16 or 15, and they covered everything.
I thought in the original, it showed, we talking about the, going down,
It would be upslope, down.
If you could find that map, it'd be beneficial to you. So,
Yeah, regarding the question about the
Yes.
engineer, the engineer who will be working on the project will be Nancy Jackson, who is a licensed civil engineer in Connecticut.
Okay.
So then,
Berkshire no longer does engineering.
so then somebody else's signature will go on the new proposal, new plan, not yours.
It'll be Nancy Jackson's stamp will go on the final design, any final design.
Will it be necessary to have that Nancy Jackson's plan reviewed by our engineer?
No.
No.
This is a simple math.
Yeah, let's just go look at it, see what it comes up.
Yes, any questions?
I make a motion to accept it. Make a motion to accept IWWC 2427, John Sliney, redo front of cottage walkway to become impervious area.
I'll
At
second it.
3080 East Wakefield.
I'll second it.
Frank, you seconded it?
Yes, it did, yes.
All those in favor of accepting? Unanimous? Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Application 24-28, the applicant is Patrick Hussey, 752 Lake Drive. The proposal is to clear brush and overgrowth from behind the house to the water line and replace and rebuild existing waterfront deck with 2-foot extension of the width of the house. You want to have a seat and just introduce yourself, sir? Turn that mic towards you. Thank you.
Patrick Hussey, 752 Lake Drive.
Okay, you want to talk to us about what you're proposing?
To replace exactly what's there, which is 100 feet long by 18 foot wide, with 2 by 12 joists and composite AZAC decking on top.
So, you're here to replace your deck,
Yes.
deck on a house. Well, why is he here for a deck on a house?
The deck goes
No.
down,
It's on the
It's
waterfront.
on
It's going on water.
Yeah, it's the whole
it's on
waterfront.
land,
Deck, okay.
it's on land,
But it's,
and in between the deck on land, behind the deck toward the house, as you come up the stairs, it's terribly overgrown.
you doing anything with the piers? You doing anything with the dirt? Nothing?
No, nothing,
Just the wood?
just the wood.
Yeah, if there's no, if you're not going in the ground with that, the only thing, the 2-foot extension would be, that'd be a zoning issue.
Then we leave it as is.
Then, yeah, if you're not doing any digging or any.
No.
That's what I'm saying, it's not a.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's, but, in clear brush and overgrowth. You doing it by hand, it's
No.
landscaping or using a
No.
machine, what are you doing?
Machine.
Okay,
Machine,
Have to get a machine there.
how are you gonna get it there?
If we cannot get a machine, it'll have to be done by hand.
I mean, seriously, how do you, how are you proposing to getting a machine around your house? On one side, you have a steep staircase.
No, they come down the other side, which.
On the other side?
Yes,
Where you're parked.
yes,
And you have access and?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't realize you had
Yeah,
enough room back there.
it's-
Is that overgrown also, where the machine?
No, no, we're good there.
How big is the stuff?
A big switch?
How big is it? How big is the stuff that's overgrown? What is it, 2 inch, 1 inch?
Oh, it's about this height.
Oh, it's just mowing it.
No.
It's
What
all
are you
like,
mowing it with, like a bobcat?
Like laurel or-
With a brush hog?
laurel or what is it? It's a little,
I don't know, it's all scrub brush really and,
Big
There's
bobcat.
trees in there.
With a bobcat, them brush hogs will take that right down.
Maybe some silt fence?
Yeah, for
You're
sure.
gonna take the roots right out and just clean it right out, and put mulch down or anything, or what do you think?
whatever has to be done to satisfy the committee is what we have to do.
yeah, you
Well,
want,
it's one thing just to cut it down, it's another thing to take it down to the dirt. We have to be concerned about the erosion on it.
Well, it was grass originally, and it's, so how do you put grass back again?
I guess the question is this, Patrick. Are you gonna disturb the surface of the dirt? Are you just gonna cut the trees to the surface? If you're gonna cut the trees to the
But
surface?
they're not trees, they're all little shrubs.
But then, if you're gonna cut the shrubs to the
No, we're
surface,
gonna pull them out of the ground,
you're gonna pull them out of the ground?
Yeah.
So you're pulling the stumps out of the
because
ground?
they're gonna grow back again.
Okay, so that's the question right
Yeah.
there. Because then, in that case, now you gotta put silt fence up to the backside of your deck.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay, across there, and up the proper, return up the property line.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you weren't gonna take it out, you were just mowing it, it all falls under maintenance.
Yeah,
Okay, but if you're gonna dig it and upset the turf, now we have to get into the silt fence and erosion control.
How steep's the grade? Were you guys there already?
I was there yesterday?
I didn't-
Yesterday?
How steep's your grade? I was there a couple of years
you
ago.
were there when we done the boat
Part
down.
of the, yeah, part of the dock.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
It's not that bad where the shrubs are, no.
Well, come on.
You really can't tell the grading because the shrubs are so
Yeah.
overgrown
Yeah,
that you don't know the height of the dirt
yeah.
closer to the house and closer to the water.
It's probably in the 25 feet, 0 to 4 feet going back towards the house.
so I think on this map you provided, you need to show exactly the area you're gonna disturb. If you're pulling out all those shrubs, just so you can locate it on there, you're gonna need to show silt fence and what you propose to plant again, whether it be grass, topsoil.
Grass.
Okay, but I just,
We need more,
yeah, we need those
information.
details to know
Okay,
what
so-
we're approving, we don't
We
wanna
just need
just.
more information. And now talk to us about the deck, what do you wanna do?
Replace the deck,
You're gonna just pull everything out?
take everything out and redo it, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No disturbance to the lake bed, right?
No.
Just,
It's onshore, right?
no, the bigger issue then is you're shrubbing, you're grubbing.
Yeah, I know.
Sounds like that may be the bigger job too.
You going up the stairs at all with the you know, the decking, or you're leaving it at the ground level?
No, exactly, but the steps this day that you walked on yesterday, it's just that complete deck and the structure beneath it.
Anything, Jeff? Do you see, we were at the site yet?
I have not been to the
Okay,
site yet.
then that's fine. All right, any other concerns here that we're gonna accept? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept IWC 24-28, 752 Lake Drive, clear brush overgrowth from behind the house to the water line and rebuild existing waterfront deck.
Second?
I'll second.
Gary, before we vote, do we need a public hearing?
No.
All right, all those in favor of acceptance? It's unanimous? So, for clarification, sit down with Jeff
Okay,
and get a better understanding of what we want for next month, so that we can move ahead with this
okay,
process.
no problem.
Okay?
That's
You
it?
gonna try to do that this fall?
Yes, I'd like to, yeah. Okay,
Be by to see you.
thank you. Okay.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Okay, agent determinations, nothing, Jeff?
No new determinations. Under warnings, you'll see 262 per track trail. I'm almost certain, Steve, that the corresponding missing application, if you will.
Oh, that's where it is.
Is that, yeah.
Okay.
And again, they were gonna be out of town. They asked to hold it until next month.
Okay.
If we talk about the violations that we've been holding over, did everyone get a chance to review my proposal of 265 and a half Colebrook Road? We discussed this at length with the town attorney, the new town manager, you know, everyone in my department. And it seems like this might be the best we can do, considering Army Corps just trumps us and lets them rebuild it every time it happens. We didn't get too much guidance from the state, either at DEEP or DOT, for basically the same reason. You know, it just keeps pointing back to Army Corps. So as you read in the proposal, you know, I think we could at least fine them if and when it washes out, force them to pull a new wetlands application and provide that Army Corps approval again, and we just keep doing it as many times as it washes out.
If what they put in place holds up,
Then,
then this is a way.
right.
So you're gonna take it off the violations, based from what I understand. Do we have to make a motion to that effect, or?
No, this is just, you know, I wanted to make sure
Yeah,
that we had buy-in from the
information.
commission, if that's the way we were gonna administer it, out of our office.
Gary, any concerns? I mean, not that we
This is what
have
Nelligan
any.
suggested? This is what Nelligan suggested?
This was my suggestion, but it's been vetted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nelligan liked it.
Yep.
I have to agree. I mean, it's primarily state property.
Yeah,
If the state doesn't wanna do anything about it,
Yeah.
get involved in it. You know, with the DEP, where are we?
No, we
No, I
just,
know, I'm saying, I
Came
don't think it's
before
right.
us.
I can't sit here and say I think it's right.
Well,
that's beside the
I'm not saying that.
You know what I mean?
What? He was talking $750,000 to replace that. You know, you put it up against
Listen,
the
okay,
wall.
Jeff, all right, you live downstream. You live downstream and that thing clogs and takes all your shit out. All right? Okay. Now,
Make sure that-
changes
I never
things.
thought about that. It's interesting though, I know the guy that's like the next house down, where they park this, I ran into him, he's a chef at that.
But I'm just saying, when people do that, these are the problems that we get into. You know what I mean? That it's not just their problem, it washes out.
That's why I'm surprised the state's walking away from it.
That's very, very surprised.
Well,
Especially-
they did a lot to
Especially
it.
being that close to the road, you know what I mean? And that, on that
State
little
road,
bit of a
yeah.
curve, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, to where that could come up and not take that. It could come out, encroach and take the road.
well, that's pretty, I mean, unless there's a catastrophic storm like we had last week down in Oxford.
Look what
That
happened
was
in
a
South.
1,000-year
Yeah,
flood.
that's
South-
way,
It was a 100-year
that
flood.
run,
Oh, yeah.
that
That
one
was-
is probably 8 or 9 feet off the height of the road.
Right, and
That's
that's what I'm
not
saying, it's not just.
This fix isn't gonna stop that.
Oh, no,
No, nothing.
That's gonna be the least of our concerns if we get 15
Take out-
inches of
Could
rain.
take out the bridge in front of it, behind it.
All right, so we could put this for rest at this point?
Yes.
Well, he's gotta be
Okay.
happy about that.
308, we just
Oh,
talked
well,
about.
they don't know yet. I haven't told them this
Man,
yet. I wanted to bounce it off of you guys.
We're-
As you said, 308, we had Mr. Sliney here. No reason to discuss that any further at this point.
713.
713, I actually stopped and spoke with Ms. Toreno, if I remember the name correctly, today. Again, telling her, listen, if you have the survey, you gotta get it to us. We need to put this issue to bed. They're very interested in trying to purchase that town-owned property next door. And what I explained to her today was, if and when the town puts this up for sale and you haven't cleared your violation, you will not be allowed to purchase the property. So I hope that really lights the fire and we can get this one done as well. 139 West Wakefield, I don't want to talk about that anymore. We've dealt with that tonight as well.
Well,
We went through the communication.
just for my purposes or the commission's, you never heard back from the lawyer this week?
I spoke with him today,
Oh.
finally. And he asked a lot of questions and was confused as to what he was supposed to be doing. So, I don't want to get too into it, but you get the idea of how that went.
So, while we're on this topic, where are we gonna go with this? Are we gonna start finding her? That's the next.
Well, we've denied the application, now Jeff will have to take action, I guess.
She's already got
So I've discussed it with Nelligan. If the commission so desired, you can initiate a lawsuit, not for the illegal marina business, that's not gonna play well, but for the non-compliance of the permit that's on file. He thinks that would be,
Can't do it
That's
through
the only thing
citation.
we can get, that's the only thing we can get her on, is the non-compliance of the.
Right, we know that.
Exactly.
File from 1999 or whatever.
Right, we know that.
Or it was, because she won on the other thing. Right,
for lack of a better term, yes.
There's no lack of the term.
Yeah, well,
She wore us out.
maybe not the letter of the law or the spirit of the law, but anyway.
She introduced something that she got out of some files in town, that there was something existing in 1980 something, that she made reference to?
In one of your and forgive me, this has dragged on so many months, I don't know which month it was in the packet, but was the affidavit from the former owner who claimed he built the deck and he built it to the current dimensions, which don't match the permit. So take that for what it's worth.
That affidavit doesn't matter. I mean, a permit was pulled in 1999 and work was done, right?
That's the one we go.
So the grandfatherness is gone,
Exactly.
Correct.
period.
I just wanted to,
Next.
okay.
Nothing outside the lawsuit, no.
So the town is not currently set up for daily citations. To be able to do that, a citation board needs to be sat. I brought this to the town manager's attention, not for this issue, but for a different issue with citation possible related business. So that would need to be done before we could even issue a citation. If we had that, yeah, we could do daily citations against her. But I would suspect that that's not gonna solve the issue.
She's gonna get away with this.
So, again, it's the commission's pleasure. If you want to initiate a lawsuit, she very well may initiate a lawsuit after her
Why, she won.
disapproval. No, she still has a violation in place.
She only won the
She
marina.
hasn't done anything to change it. She
She,
says she's not gonna change it.
well, I think Jeff and I are maybe coming from the same place. If there are two boats parked on an illegal dock, or a dock that's non-conforming,
Correct.
and she takes no action one way or the other, either bring it into conformance or put a new application in with the new ownership on the dock for consideration by the commission, if we take no action, then in effect, she won.
Right.
The boats are there.
Right.
Because, and the docks are illegal, or is illegal. So unless we take action with the dock, we can't prevent the boats from being there, I think.
Right.
So then we have to take action against the dock, and I think we have to.
Yeah, the only other thing I could do is issue new citations to the new ownership group. So if the other 2 or 3 entities that are now owners of the property are not aware of this issue, which I find hard to believe, they would now be put on notice as well.
But we can't do it. It's just a blank threat.
It's one of those things that would sit on the land records until the property were
Okay,
to
that
be
would-
transferred.
it does go in
And
land
then oh yeah, she has violation on the land records now. Problem is, this is really a zoning violation. She's not polluting the water course, right? So we wouldn't attempt to give her the $1,000 fine like we're talking with walkers. tops out at $2,500. And some folks simply don't care about that, and they'll let it sit there until they try to sell the property.
It's cheaper than rebuilding the dock,
Right.
the deck.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So we don't need to make, or you don't need to make a decision tonight on
Yeah.
a potential lawsuit, but, you know, this is the information.
You know, what I'd like to do is maybe Jeff, myself, and one other commission member meet with Nelligan, and let's just sort of have his input and a strategy or no strategy. Only because I think the commission, if it's a viable commission, has a responsibility to take some action. You know, if not, then, you know, she's application was denied, and she'll go about her merry way, and we're like, it doesn't make any sense, and anybody can do anything they want, because we don't have any credibility to do something about what's in violation. So I think we have to take action.
I think, me personally, I think with this woman, you have to take action, only for the fact that, you know, when we realized that she kind of won in her rental of the units, Jeff and I both cut your 10-foot fingers down to 4 feet, okay? I'm not taking them out, I'm not cutting them out. Listen, we're sitting here surrender. You know what I mean? We had our hands up in the air.
And that was something that was.
Nailing us to the wall.
That was something that was a doable thing.
That was a doable
It was a doable thing, not cost her a bunch of money.
Just take them out,
Yeah.
cut them off.
Right.
Don't make them narrow,
Let it
just
go.
cut them off.
Let it go and move on. We all move on.
And we go forward. Man, she wouldn't let that go.
And that was the sentiment of what her attorney was saying to me today.
I don't know if that's still on the table. Oh my goodness.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
you know something, this thing's never gonna go away, so it's almost to a point where we should sit down
Let's talk to Nelligan.
come up with something that we can suck up and put on the table, you know what I mean, to get back to, and say, listen, let's just,
The worst part of this could
way
be
it
if
goes,
other
you gotta
people
win something,
catch
you
on.
can't walk away from this not taking,
don't think
can't
so.
walk away from this not taking something out of it.
No, I said that, yeah.
I agree.
What were you saying, Frank?
If we don't do anything and it catches on, then there's gonna be multiple of these issues along the way.
Yeah.
Free for all.
Different situations.
And it's easy to happen.
Well, if the town doesn't take action, then it's gonna be very easy to happen.
Do you think the town would go for this?
Town Manager Harrington said it's up to the commission.
Well, let me ask you this, Jeff. If her attorney is speaking that way already, all right, and we go through Mulligan, we come up with a thing that we can back down to, take 6 feet off the end of your fingers, okay? We go in with a new application, we approve the dock and the bullshit the way it is and everything. If Mulligan can get this passed with the other attorney and get her to do that, you know what I mean? And we move by this with a little bit of a win, you know what I mean?
Well, at least it set a precedent.
Because we're not gonna win on the far end here with her. I mean, she won't even accept the fact that papers are papers, your husband signed it.
Well, I think we would win in court, but I mean, do we want to do this in court?
You know, I mean, just a thought in that the gentleman that came before us, Pagano, whatever his name is, Pagano, where, you know, he may be asking for 2 more feet of cantilevered space over the water.
Right.
You know, she's got a dock, a deck that's more than half over the water.
Yeah, but she got a permit for that.
No, she's saying that an owner from 1982 said that it's been there since 1982.
Yeah, but 1999 permit shows the docks, and it shows only a certain section of it.
It doesn't show the
Doesn't show the deck at all.
deck, the
didn't,
deck
right?
dock.
The deck
On the
It doesn't show
I
that.
don't know, I couldn't find it.
The upper deck is, the upper deck on land is not represented.
That's
what I'm saying.
The one on the water is.
That's a zoning
The
issue.
one on the water is represented.
Right.
The one on
We've
the
been trying
water,
to deal with this
The one on
first.
the land here,
but that one on the land is half over the water.
a portion of it is over that dock, and a portion of it is over the water on
Yeah.
the south.
So I mean, you know, we're fighting this guy to give him 2 feet of his own property, and she's got, you know, whatever she has over there, and saying it was there from 1982. It wasn't. I mean,
I'm
the records don't show it.
And getting to Pagano, I'm not arguing that one bit, whether, I think the 2 foot would enhance his house. My problem is it's part of his house.
He needs,
It's part of his house. It goes under now, a dock. A dock is something that, okay, you gotta take it out. Okay, we're gonna change the rules and this and that. A house is a house, when you get a permit in that. No, the deck is part of the house.
If you look at his survey, his actual survey, I guarantee it references or the high water mark or something, that's where your property line is. So I'm sure that survey references his property line as the front of the house.
Front of the house.
The front of the house.
Okay, so
And
it does?
so technically, you can't apply, I mean, a good instance was Valigorski's boathouse. That went to litigation because they had a boathouse that was over water. They went back and forth. They went and got a variance approved, obviously put a second floor on it and everything else, but they couldn't take that away from him. He had 28 by 28. His property line is, he owns 5 feet of water there.
Right,
5 feet right there is what he owns technically. The rest is on,
And that was done like 20 or 22 years ago.
that was done around 05, 06,
The foundation of the building?
around that
That
time.
foundation sat there for years in
Yeah,
the water.
it was
I
around
thought it was before that, right?
The original permitting it started in 2004. The final foundation was around, like I said, 2007, 2008, and then it sat for 10 or 12 years.
Right.
But yeah, they couldn't take that away what he had. He had a 28 by 28. It was only a 1-story little boathouse with like a flat roof essentially on it. But he went to zoning and they approved the steeper roof and everything else.
Did they approve him to go out over the lake?
No.
No, they wouldn't do it.
No.
And that's the problem with this dock, or this deck on this guy's house. Zoning isn't gonna approve it to go further, I don't believe.
I don't think they can because you're allowed to keep what you have,
Yeah,
but you can't.
Again, I think it made sense for him to ask for it,
Oh, yeah,
you know?
yeah. Now, we don't know the regulations. He should.
Yeah, no, he
know.
don't do an ask, but as far as I'm concerned, he's entitled to what he has.
Yeah,
He knows, we know that, he knows that.
Yeah, you're entitled to that, but I don't even think, if you don't own that property, if your deed references the high water mark, that's it. You can't extend out there because you don't own it. The state of
That makes
Connecticut
sense
owns it.
too.
The state of Connecticut owns it. I can't, if I'm your neighbor and I wanna go over on your property, I can't do that. So it happens that the state of Connecticut owns the lake or whatnot.
Okay,
State of Connecticut owns the water and we own the bottom.
Yeah.
Town of Winston owns the bottom and the state of Connecticut owns the water. How the heck?
It's a
Is
rough.
that what that's how it
You
works?
wanna know a unique situation, now, about 512 with McGinnis. If you look at his deed or his survey that he proposed, his pin is in that rock pile in the center of Sucker Brook Cove.
Oh, Jesus.
Look at the original deed. I know this because I grew up there.
Just washed out?
But
Just
that's
kept
why
washing
he
out?
owns no, the pin is still there. It's still in the middle of the cove.
How would they put that as a,
They backfilled that whole road, that's what they did.
No, because of prior to, this goes back to when this was Long Lake.
oh, it was before it was flooded?
Go right, before they raised the water 8 or 10 feet, before there was a
When
first
was
bank.
that? When was that?
I think, I don't know, it was years ago. I mean, I'm talking 100 years ago.
Was it in the 1800s?
The original survey's probably from the early 1900s.
Well, the one that is always referenced is 1927, I think. Highland Lake Shores. it's always
That was
referenced.
a lot on the east side. I know
That's on the
that.
east side, yeah.
A lot on there. There's a lot of unique situations on West Wakefield. But yeah, if you look at it, right next to the garage is one pin. It's the surveyor shows a straight line going to the center of Sucker Brook Cove.
So he actually could wall it and back.
No. You can't take it. You can't take it back, but if the lake went dry, he owns it. But that's why there's a little tiny island in that cove, and the island falls within the boundary pins. So he owns the island. It's directly behind the other island there where 508.
All right, communications, Pisano, we saw the letter.
Right.
McGinnis, we saw the letter, the extensions. And we saw, I think it was in our packet, I know it was in our packet, Kevin Nelligan's memo regarding 504 and 512, we're just talking about.
Right.
I would suggest that you hold on to the applications and pay particular attention to both of the letters, only because, there is an easement, and there's a request, and Nelligan's position was very clear in my mind as to anybody who has right to the easement can request it independent of the owner of the easement. So we'll have to.
Yeah,
Can we
that
talk
part
about-
is.
Can we
is
talk about
clear.
this a little bit?
Sure.
I think it's important.
Go ahead.
that we do it before everybody's here. The way I read that was anybody can apply because he is in fact owner of the property through the easement. But it sounded to me like he left it wide open for us if we wanted to approve it.
Or on
Based
navigation or another issue.
On navigation, but
Yeah.
also the limited amount of docks that we're allowed to put on that piece of property. So,
Well, there's no docks on that easement property.
not on the easement property, but on the whole property that
Well,
the easement is part of.
from what I understood,
'Cause that's Joel's.
I visited the site yesterday, and I guess Matt would be the expert because his parents owned it prior to that. That 25 or 30-foot easement, somehow became a road. It connected two pieces of property where there was water in between.
No, that road was an easement. The one going out to the island you're talking about out back?
The one going from 504, then there's 512, and then there's another house on the,
Yeah, it's 508 out on the island.
okay.
And that was an easement right of way long before the other one was granted. That one went back,
So there's
that's
another,
100 years.
there's another
That's
easement
the
in there.
access for the.
That's the,
the one.
that's a deeded right of way, so 508 can access from Wakefield Boulevard in.
So that's another easement on the other side of 508. It has nothing to do with the one we're talking
And,
about.
and I'm not sure if the easement to 508, that's the island out back, is on 512 or if it's on 504, which was, did he just provide
According to
us?
504, there was a letter signed by Quick Deeding, some of the right to that.
The easement was granted in 2000,
4 or 6?
it was prior to that. It was around 95 was when that little easement was granted. So I can't, that's the easement going in. I can't see.
But we can restrict him from putting that float out there because there's already floats out there.
Is what?
Because there's already
from 504,
floats
I
out
think.
there. Or there's already 2 docks on the property.
So we own both sides.
So we can give him a float.
I did.
Well, that's what he wants.
Yeah, we own it,
At this
it
point,
was
but he
all
said
one
if-
piece.
if this flew, he would put it out.
And this was my grandfather's house out back.
He would prefer, but he's asking for a float.
Yeah, that's my parents' original,
And
oh, my grandparents'
in my
original.
visiting the property, there's a dock where the guy that came before us tonight,
Yo's.
504,
Yours.
right. He's got a dock on one end, on the left side of that easement, looking at it from land to water. He's got a dock on the left side of it.
Yes.
Then there's the easement that runs from West Wakefield Boulevard, and a small part of that driveway is the actual easement itself, according to the 512 owner's son, whom I met yesterday. And then on the other side of that 20 or 30-foot easement is another house which now is for sale. And Matt, that's what you're referring to as the island house?
Yeah, that's 508.
Why does, sequentially, there's 508, 512, and then 504?
Yeah, and 460's across the street.
Addressing in this town is terrible.
Yeah, I just.
Per trip.
No.
Yeah,
Right.
directly across the street's 460.
But am I right in what the understanding of that easement is only, I don't know, from here to the clock wide, if that wide?
The one he's looking to put
Yeah.
the swim float on is,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's 30,
Yeah.
30 feet wide
Yeah.
or what.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Jeff, I hope you don't have anything to say regarding the Public Works?
I didn't call him today.
Oh, good.
I totally forgot.
And Jamie, anything with Highland Lake?
No, just the evening on Highland Lake is this Saturday night if anyone's
just-
around.
Okay, and just so you're aware, we're gonna meet with Highland Lake members tomorrow night. The chairman of each of the commissions in town and Jeff Mary Ann Marino is now on the board there.
Yeah.
And she requested it, so I'll be there.
Just like to say, James, if you're in touch with the Highland Lake
Yeah.
watershed, when their newsletter comes out, make a note that the deep drawdown is next year, and people should
Yeah.
start
Apply early.
applying for permits.
Yeah.
Well, did they ever get the gate fixed? With the flooding situation downstream of the gate?
Not yet. Funding was approved. Some engineering has already been developed, but it's in the works.
The gate's broken?
No, you
You're
know
talking
why?
about the flooding across
Yeah,
Boyd?
no, yeah.
Yeah.
no, Because the lake has been going up and down.
Mhm.
I thought the thing was gonna be set at 1 foot, and that's it.
I don't know how they're managing
That's what I'm saying.
Right. But the flooding of Boyd Street is a
Being invested.
specific issue on top of all the other issues.
All right, anything else before we adjourn? Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Gary and Jamie, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, gentlemen.
Good meeting.
Yeah, good meeting.
If I'm gonna try to set a meeting with Nelligan to speak specifically about 139, you mentioned
Yeah.
an additional commissioner. Did you want to appoint that lucky commissioner now?
Is there anybody who has the best knowledge and best background to be part of the meeting? I mean, it's not a matter of public, popularity, it's who's most equipped.
My advice would be to take Jeff, because he caves in, he'll give her.
It's getting old there, Gary.
Somebody,
What is this meeting? Am I missing something?
listen, somebody let me know who'd like to be part of the meeting.
I would, I don't think so.
Gary? Hi, Gary,
I would.
Gary, volunteered. Jeff?
Gary volunteered? Did he really?
Voluntold.